Well, if that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. It is a positive Friday, to say the least, for Oiler fans. Because let's be honest, it was a roller coaster of emotions for Oiler fans. We're going to go through, because you must have felt every emotion possible as a fan last night. You definitely, you got your money's worth from that game. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And speaking of your money's worth, well, hey, bet on the Oilers to win. It was definitely worth it. And get your tickets for Lotto Max tonight. $20 million. And then you can afford tickets to Game 5 if you want to go. PlayAlberta.ca, your one-stop shop. There's lots to get to on the show today, and I don't even know if we'll have enough time. Kevin Woodley's going to join us in the first hour. Dr. Randy Gregg, we're going to talk some Riverhawks. Might even talk, hey, did you know Dr. Randy Gregg and Kevin Lowe? The last time Oiler fans saw two defensemen score a goal in the Stanley Cup Finals in the same game. Until last night. Darnell Nurse, Jake Wallman, two huge goals from the Oilers back in. Two huge goals started by relentless forecheck. So we'll get to that on the show today. Craig Button will be by. Spec, LT. We'll talk a little racing with Livingston. We'll take a lot of texts at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, boys, we need more Spanish and German hockey commentary from Rodrigo. Yeah, that was unreal. We might have to replay them. We might play those. It's a positive Friday. We might play those at the top of every hour coming out of the break. People are fired up. How could you not be? But it does show that, you know what? Canadian guys get a little bit more excited. Stretch it out a little bit. It's not going to hurt. Not going to hurt at all. But that game last night was absolutely wild. Wild. So first of all, it's the first time since 1919, when LT was a young lad, watching Montreal and Seattle. Now, Seattle wasn't even an official NHL team, but they did play for the championship. Montreal was in Seattle in 1919. The series actually never even got finished, unfortunately. But either way, the game, it's an official game, but it's not even on the NHL's website. I had to dig around for my guys at the NHL to actually get a picture of the game sheet. I'll have it coming up in an article from Oilers Nation coming up probably in about the next 45 minutes. It should be out. But 1919 was the last time in a Stanley Cup final the road team trailed by 3 and came back to win the game. Now, it's only happened limited times. The Flyers in 1987 against the Edmonton Oilers. The Carolina Hurricanes in 2006 against the Oilers. My God, Oilers fans are like, what? It's about time. It's about time it happened maybe for your team rather than the opposition, because you had, strangely enough, and maybe you blocked it out. Maybe you don't even remember. But it did happen twice against the Edmonton Oilers in previous years. Also, it happened in 1992. The Penguins were down 3-0 at home. They came back, or down by 3. Also in 1944, the Canadians came back. In 1936, the Maple Leafs did it. All those teams did it at home, except the Canadians in 1919. So 106 years in between, and really not even 2 official NHL teams. So you can make the argument. What you saw last night is the first time anyone's ever seen it. Well, anybody alive for sure has ever seen it in the NHL. It was like that. So you take it through that game. And the first period, oh my goodness, the skaters were brutal. Undisciplined. What did we talk about yesterday? Stop taking stupid penalties. 2 high sticking calls in the first period. Evander Kane again. And it cost him some minutes on the bench as Chris Knobloch was like, enough's enough. Sat him down. Matthias Ekholm can't take that penalty. So 3 power plays for the Panthers, including one where they're a 5-on-3 and they score. They were leading the Oilers in shots at one point, like 15-2. They were all over them. And it was 3-0. Stuart Skinner kept it. He made 2 huge saves just to keep it somewhat respectable. So you think about the Oilers goaltending. Pickard, and we'll get to Pickard in a second. But Stuart Skinner, he got a pull. That's like the most guilt-induced goalie pull that I can recall. He goes into the room and he's like, okay, we're going to make some changes. Stu, we're going to change here. We need a spark, but it ain't you. He was the only guy who was ready to play in the first period. And I think it worked because the players, the Oilers, they came out in the second period and they were infinitely better. They had the first 7 shots of the period, including Ryan Nugent-Hopkins going top shelf. And the Oilers had life. And you're thinking, well, maybe. Then they got another power play. Not much happened. And you're like, uh-oh. Then Jake Wallman, turnover. Lundell's in all alone. Now it's a short breakaway from just below the circle, but quick shot, Calvin Pickard, who had faced a grand total of 1 shot in the first 10 minutes of the second period, makes a big stop. And that was a crucial save because only a minute 23 later, Adam Henrique, Jeff Skinner, Trent Frederick have another really good shift. I thought they were the Oilers' best line, 5-on-5. They were excellent in board battles, relentless forecheck. They get the turnover, Ekholm to Nurse. Nurse swaps down the left side, thinks all of a sudden he's Mike freaking Bossy and goes top shelf short side. And it's 3-2. And you could tell by Nurse's celebration, the rest of the team, they're like, we got a chance here. And how many of you, after that first period, had went for a walk? Maybe you go in the garage. Maybe all of a sudden you're scrolling on your phone. You're like, I'm out. Nurse scores because somebody in your household probably was still watching. And maybe you were watching, but you weren't liking it. Nurse scores and suddenly you're like, damn, we're in the game. And then 2 minutes, 18 seconds later, Leon Draisaitl, offensive zone faceoff, wins it cleanly. Nurse at the left point, beats Marchand, goes down, doesn't just fire it, takes it behind the net, tries a wraparound, gets it on goal. Podkolzin outmuscles 2 Panthers, puts a backhand over the pad, under the blocker, tie game. He's going crazy. Corey Perry's going crazy. The bench is going crazy. Hell, how many people were suddenly just kissing strangers at the mosh pit? I would guess quite a few. In your house, I guarantee you jumped up off your chair. You fist pumped, you screamed, you scared the dog. Either way, the Oilers had tied the game. Suddenly, from going looking like dog dung to scoring 3 goals, tying the game, and now you go to the third period. Just think about it if you can. The different emotion you felt at the end of the first period until the end of the second period. I don't think you could have a more monumental difference as a fan, right? Because you're all fired up for the game. You're excited for the game. Like I could tell because I'm watching my son. After the first intermission, he's playing mini sticks. He's annoyed. He didn't want to watch. Now he's 11. He's not going to have rational, emotional feelings. But then I joked with him. I said, son, I can tell you right now. It's like, yeah, Dad, I don't like this. Right. And my wife's kind of a nervous fan anyway. She's watching the game. And she's like, God, some days I wish I were you. You don't really get nervous. I'm like, well, whatever. But I know, I told my son jokingly, I said, I can tell you there are adult Oiler fans that feel just as upset as you do right now. They're just using a little bit more profane language than you are right now. And it's true. Don't lie. You were probably cursing. You were probably swearing. I'm like, God, they're done. They're going to lose the cup again. That's what you thought. Because realistically, why wouldn't you? It's 3-0. They're on the road. They suck in Florida. They can't score to save their life. They can't score 5-on-5. They've scored 2 goals in the first 16 periods, 5-on-5 in Florida in the Stanley Cup Finals. 2. You're thinking there's no way they come back. But they tie it. Now the third period starts. And it's a much more cautious period. Takes Edmonton 8 minutes to get a shot on goal. Florida only had 1 okay chance. Pad stop by Pickard on Rodrigue. Not much is going on the first 8 minutes. Now it's 10 minutes. Now it's 12 minutes. 13 minutes. Now you start thinking, overtime's coming. And then an unreal shift down low. Starts, Oilers are cycling the puck. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins back. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, for a guy banged up, that is a hell of a performance last night. Let's call a spade here. I thought he played excellent for him. And like I said yesterday, I didn't believe it was a wrist injury. I still don't think it's a wrist injury. Either way, he's battling 2 Panthers behind the net. Eventually loses the battle, but he still pressures him. A short pass to Barkov. Janmark, because the Oilers had so much offensive zone possession time, they were changing. Janmark comes in on the fly, breaks up the pass. It ricochets. Kasperi Kapanen, who scored a big goal for the Oilers, looks like he's going to shoot. All of a sudden, he hears Wallman screaming, fires a pass over, and Wallman rips a perfectly placed one-timer. And it's 4-3. Some of you might have passed out at this point. Some of you, if you would have had one of those heart monitors on you, it's peaking. Guaranteed it's peaking at that point. You're going crazy. The moss pit's going nuts. Watch parties everywhere. OTR, strangers are sucking face. It's going nuts. Now the Oilers, all they got to do is buckle down. There's 6 minutes left. And you know what? Florida had one shot on goal from the 5:40 mark down to the final 30 seconds. You can't really protect the lead better than that. Now it's a dump in. Comes up on the wall. There's a little bit of a battle. And then on a broken play, Tkachuk's looking like he's going to shoot. Fans on it, bounces off his stick. Pickard had to be ready for the shot. Bounces to Reinhart. And the second latest tying goal in Stanley Cup Finals history. And you're gutted. You're rolling on the ground. Felt like someone kicked you in the junk. The only time you felt better than that was when Corey Perry set the record for the latest tying goal in Stanley Cup Finals history in Game 2. Think about that. 18 seconds for Perry, 19 seconds for Reinhart. That is like what you've seen in this series has been unbelievable to watch. Really, things we've never seen before. Those two things you'd never seen before. No one had ever witnessed live in their lifetime. A road team coming back from a 3-0 deficit to win a game. That happened. Then you get to overtime. And Calvin freaking Pickard makes an unreal. There wasn't much going on in the first 6 minutes. Actually, the Oilers didn't have a shot for the first 7.5. Very cautious start. Sam Bennett, the NHL's leading goal scorer, wide open in the slot. One-timer rips it. And Calvin Pickard gets a piece of his glove, ricochets off the crossbar, and you exhale. Then a minute later, he's got a stone-lost arena on a great shoulder save, and you're thinking, man, the Oilers aren't doing much. And then, probably the ugliest overtime goal you've seen in a long time, but the biggest one, as Podkolzin comes down the wing, makes actually a really nice cross-ice pass. Draisaitl, who just stepped on the ice for McDavid, comes in, comes down the right side, one hand on the stick, puts it towards the net, and he gets a bounce off the defender. You never beat Bobrovsky on the ice, and that goal beats him 5-hole, and suddenly it's tied. And Leon Draisaitl is the first player in NHL history to have 4 overtime winners in the same year. He now holds the Oilers record for the most overtime goals in his career. He had none until this year. So he set the Oilers record. He set the NHL record for most. And now the Oilers, they're flying home today. They're in the air as we speak. And they will get set for Game 5 tomorrow night. And you felt like you ran a marathon as a fan watching that game, didn't you? Like, how tired were you? Did you feel exhausted almost? Like, why am I so tired? What the hell's going on? It was that type of game. Cons, what stood out most for you in that game?
Well, I will say, Gregor, I mean, we stay as impartial as possible as we can, but I was looking for distractions in overtime. I was cleaning bottles. I was getting the garbage ready to get started out. Like, I was stressing that one for sure. You know what? Just the resiliency. Like, probably couldn't have been a worse start. But instead of doing what they did in Game 3, they just put their head down and got to work and found ways to score goals. Nugent Hopkins, like you said, people were critical of his injury when it was the 5-on-3 goal, but they all got quiet when he scored that goal, which is nice to see. And then, the depth players getting in there. Darnell Nurse scoring that goal the way he did. Then setting up the second goal, taking the puck in, throwing it out in front. Podkolzin gets the job done. Like, they just never have that give up spirit. Like, they always were resilient and fought back in the game. And they could have fallen down. Like, the storyline was there. The anti-Oiler crowd out there was absolutely loving it. And they just kind of changed the narrative, turned the worm, and got the job done. So full credit to them. Similar to what I thought after Game 3, though. I was saying I want to see what they do in Game 4. Now I'm intrigued to see what happens in Game 5. Like, they know the recipe. They know what they have to do to beat this Panthers team. Can they go out there and execute? And then what do the Florida Panthers do in response? I just know that crowd tomorrow is going to be insane.
Well, it will be. And the Oilers have life now. And, man, to me, I thought the Henrik line was excellent in that game. Their depth guys, hey, like the whole team, Darnell Nurse struggled in the first period. In the second period and the third, he redeemed himself. Paul Coffey elects when they're down 3-0. What we saw earlier in the playoffs, he went with 5 defensemen. Right? Troy Stetcher probably could have been a high stick call on Stetcher, but he had the turnover on the third goal. Stetcher played, 4-18. I know there's lots. Nurse can only play well with Stetcher. I've argued that, and I think last night proved it. Look at the second period. It wasn't with Stetcher. They were all over the place. They're playing with every different guy. They had 4 lefties: Wallman, Kulak, Nurse, and Ekholm. The only righty was Bouchard. And all those guys played, Wallman played 22-32, Kulak 27.5, Nurse 25, Ekholm 27, Bouchard 30. They got the job done. What about Podkolzin? A huge goal. Also gets an assist on the game winner. Nugent Hopkins, I thought, great shot. Great work on that goal. Janmark doesn't get an assist on the Wallman goal, but he made the play to create the turnover. Henrique gets a point. Kapanen gets a point. Pickard comes off the bench in relief. I actually didn't mind how Stuart Skinner played in the first period at all. To me, that's a guilt-inducing pull, and it worked. Every lever that Knobloch pulls seems to work for his team. And so we got Kevin Woodley coming up. We'll find out. We'll get your thoughts. Like, my gut is, you know what? Yeah, maybe you start Pickard, how he played. But then he's like, some guys like Gregor, I think Pickard's better suited to come off the bench. So who knows what happens? I know people say, well, they always win with Pickard. It's true. But it is interesting. Last year, the Oilers losing the Stanley Cup final. I was like, Skinner's not good enough. He had a 901 save percentage. This year, Calvin Pickard has a save percentage below 900. And everyone's like, he's unreal. Because the games he's in, they win. Because they score a lot of goals, right? They score a lot of goals when he's in. I don't know why, but they do. They had to last night because he only gave up 1. But they'd given up 3 because they were brutal in the first period. So if the Oilers can learn how to control themselves, like Evander Kane, keep your damn stick on the ice. It's ridiculous. Can't take that. You can't continue to take high-sticking penalties in the first period. They've taken 13 penalties in 4 first periods. 13. You cannot be shorthanded 3 and a third times on average, right? Well, I guess it's 3.25, right? You're not going to win. That's in the first period alone. I'm not talking in the whole game. I'm talking in the first period. So you've got to buckle down for me, for the Edmonton Oilers. They just have to on their discipline in the first period. It's a must, right? They've been shorthanded 7 times in the second, third, and overtimes combined, but 13 in the first period. So they'll need to be a little bit more disciplined there. So we'll talk about that with Woodley and the goaltending, what's he seen. And hey, the guys, look at the goals off the ice. Get the puck off the ice. You'll have a much better chance of scoring. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta Sports and Casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
The Discovery Day sales event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's your final month to lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $4,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Come and discover the deals now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
At Fitted Golf, we know that you continue to believe.
It's not my clubs. Really, it's my swing.
Except it's already June, and you're still not playing the game you want because you continue to insist it's not your clubs. Except it really is your clubs, and we prove it every day. Fitted Golf customers continue to be amazed at how good they actually are when they use the right clubs for their swing. Why would you play the game you love but not love the way you play it? From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Visit fittedgolf.ca.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an AC repairman.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
Jumpstart your summer with Wendy's delicious drinks. Enjoy a small iced coffee, frosty chino, or frosty fizz for only $1.99. But hurry, get your $1.99 small drink at participating Wendy's. Only available until June 29th. Taxes extra.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Edmonton on the Yellowhead Trail, locally owned and operated by the Kent family and celebrating 45 years. See all our rides at hdedmonton.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday continues on, and it's a positive Friday if you're an Oiler fan, because your team is now back a little bit in the driver's seat. I'm not sure if momentum means a whole lot, because you consider that the twice where the team who tied the game late in regulation was unable to win the game in overtime. So who knows if there's anything called momentum. We've seen Oilers or the Panthers dominate the first period, and then the other team bounces back and dominates the second period. Outside of game 3, when the Oilers just laid an egg, this has been a back and forth series. And, Edmonton's now hoping that they've got some momentum. Some people texting in, hey, the Panthers peaked in game 3. Hey, we'll see. We shall see. But Edmonton, all I know is the flight for Edmonton will be a little bit more enjoyable than it will be for the Panthers. Now, the Panthers, hey, they made that flight after losing. Remember, they got spanked 8-1 in game 4 in Edmonton. But then they also lost game 5 in Florida. This time it's just but it's a flight after a loss. And, the Oilers will feel a lot different. They were down 3-1 last year going to Florida for game 5. But they're coming home 2-2, knowing the crowd's going to be on their side and knowing they have a chance to take the lead in the series and be one win away from their dreams. So it should be an enjoyable flight home for sure. Probably just feels a bit shorter if you're the Edmonton Oilers. Now, let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. Summer drink days are on now. You can enjoy $1 small drinks, Coca-Cola, iced coffee, keep cool. Now, check it out right now at all participating McDonald's. Taxes extra, prices exclude delivery. Only at McD's. as I got a special appearance. Usually joins us on Monday, but hey, it's the Stanley Cup Finals. Got to talk more goaltending. Kevin Woodley from InGoal Magazine and NHL.com joins us. Kev, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm glad that this is the series again, right? Like I think after the first period, there were probably a few people from the outsider's perspective, not in either market, that were like, it was so compelling through the first two. So we're back to compelling. It's great. It's great theater. It's great hockey. And I can't wait to watch the rest of it.
Take me through your thoughts on, like, Stuart Skinner was really the only player on the Oilers ready to play in that first period. Like, I know he allowed 3 goals, but man, he made some big saves. Like that was utter domination by the Panthers in that first frame.
Yeah, they got worked pretty good, right? And interestingly enough, if they don't score that third one off the low high pass to the wide open one-timer, the missed call, however you want to break it down, I wonder if they make that switch.
Yeah.
And so I was of two minds. I'll be honest with you. I think, and we had this conversation on Monday, like I fully understood and supported sticking with Stuart Skinner. And yet we'd seen the Oilers' defensive game erode, and we'd seen them give up chances so far in this series after game one that they just weren't giving up against Vegas or Dallas. And so, that had me wondering a little bit, because they play so well for Calvin Pickard, or are the Florida Panthers, and I think there's a lot of people that would lean this way, just so damn good and create so much disruption off their forecheck that they're going to get their looks. And either way, the reality is Stuart Skinner has yet to give up anything in the Stanley Cup final that is not a high danger chance. Like, they're only beating him on high danger chances. And so you look at them and you're like, yeah, it's not his fault. And yet, much like early in the LA series, you're allowed to stop those too. And the expectation would be at a slightly higher rate than we've seen so far. And at the end of the day, that's what Calvin Pickard gives you. He gives you the tough saves. Now, over a large sample, he also tends to give you a few more low percentage goals that might go in. A few more clean looks might beat him. Pucks that might hit Skinner might not hit him through traffic and tips and screens and things like that because of the size difference. But on East-West plays, Jason, where skating is first and foremost, and the experience that Calvin Pickard has reading and processing and anticipating the game, which is one of his strengths, like we see a clear difference in the numbers. And with Florida continuing to generate those, and I'm with you, it's all on Edmonton as to why they made it so easy to do so in the first period, especially with the penalties they took. But with them continuing to generate it, I supported the switch. And I think it's kind of hard to go back. And I would say that the one thing that makes me a little, one of many factors that might make you go the other way, and this could yet switch again, is on the tying goal, with the goalie pulled late, the lack of a clean handle behind the net where Skinner handles that puck, and maybe that's an easier exit. Ultimately, it doesn't get out of the zone and they end up tying the goal. So there's both sides to this coin. But at the end of the day, the Florida Panthers had finished on all 5 slot line chances against Stuart Skinner through the first three games in a period. So 5 for 5 on East-West plays across the middle of the ice. And when you look at Cal, and over the course of the playoffs overall, 9 goals on 23 slot line plays, 3 below expected for Skinner. Not terribly below expected, but again, really tough chances. You're allowed to stop them too. And he just hasn't been at a league average rate. Other things he's doing exceptionally. But look at Calvin Pickard. 2 goals, on 15 chances. Again, tiny, smaller sample, but his strengths, breakaways 2, 4 on 13. Stu's got 4 breakaway goals on just 6 chances in the Cup final. So part of it's on the Oilers giving up these looks. Part of it is on Florida just finishing them. And you add into the fact that just traditionally over time, those are areas of relative strength for Calvin Pickard compared to Stuart Skinner, and the switch makes a lot of sense on those levels. Now, the question to me is, does Florida switch their approach? Do they keep trying to score? Because, hey, those are high danger chances against every goalie. Let's make them go east-west and, get these chances off. The save he made with the glove in overtime was phenomenal. A lot of goalies don't make that save.
Yeah.
And as we saw off the glove and off the crossbar, it was still by the skin of the teeth and still remarkable. But do they start to adjust? Or do they look at the numbers like I've looked at it and say, man, okay, we got a different goalie in here. And the things we're converting on a near, every chance level against Skinner, we're not going to convert here. Do we use our forecheck to start to establish our points and create chaos in front of Pickard? Because screen goals are a major issue and have been all season and into the playoffs. So really it's cat and mouse, especially in the playoffs overall, especially in a Stanley Cup final. And I'm really curious to see if the goaltending switch changes, which I think most of us assume it will, whether the Panthers alter the way they're attacking.
Kevin Woodley from Ingo Magazine and NHL.com joins us. And yeah, it's the game within the game. You're having success doing one thing. You probably think, hey, let's just keep generating those quality chances. Because think about it. If Matthias Ekholm, because Pickard is much more aggressive, I find, than Skinner, right? And he moves around way more. Like you look at, he was really out of position on the one play, but Ekholm and Nugent Hopkins are basically blocking the shot, right? There's a wide open net, but Ekholm stops it. So, I don't know if Florida, I think ideally if you're Edmonton, you're like, let's just lower these high danger chances we're giving up, because they're giving up way too many cross seam. Like I look at the power play, Florida is going low to high all day long because the Oilers box is collapsing down low, and they're taking it from the low right corner up to the high left point or vice versa all the time.
Yeah, and you're right. Like the Panthers, at the end of the day for the Oilers, and this kind of like the way these guys battle for Pickard, right? Like, I mean, it's a Stanley Cup final. You're going to battle for everyone. But for whatever reason, up until this point, they've been able to find that defensive identity more often with more regularity when Calvin's in net. And so I'm really curious again, like, because the Panthers are that much harder to do that against. What happens in game 5 if Calvin's in net? Can they button it down a little bit and get back to their game at the other end? And again, taking penalties is the surest way to give the Panthers an opportunity to pick you apart defensively and find those seams and find those lanes. So there's so much that goes into this beyond just the goaltending decision. And you're right. If you're Florida, you're not going to stop trying to create those chances. Just because Calvin Pickard's better against breakaways doesn't mean the Panthers aren't going to stop trying to get breakaways. Yes, exactly. Right? Like, so there's only so much that changes here. I think if they're able to pick apart the power play the way they have been, they'll keep trying to do that. But it'll be interesting to see if Pickard and Edmonton get any momentum. Do they every once in a while or more often start deferring to the point and collapsing to the front of the net, using Tkachuk's hands to try and get screens and deflections and tips, which again, historically, like over a quarter of the goals that went in during the regular season on Calvin Pickard, close to a third of them involve screens and traffic. Right. And that's not the way Florida has attacked. So you are still going to have moments, because they are such dangerous plays, where you're going to need somebody to block a shot and bail you out. Right. Like either goalie.
Yes. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like,
but
I look at,
if more of those chances play to Pickard's strengths, like that's enough to me in a series with no margins. If Florida keeps attacking his strengths, that could end up being the difference.
Edmonton, you know what? I look at Darnell Nurse goal. Is that a great shot, or is that a terrible goal by Bobrovsky?
Oh, it can be both, right?
Yeah.
This isn't just the goalie union guy. Like, it's from a sharp angle, but even if Bob squares up on that, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's because listen, he flattened out on his goal line. Whether he's in a reverse or flattening out, either one is sort of to protect against a pass and give you some short side high coverage. In both cases, there's going to be exposure above the shoulder high. And I would argue the way he played it there was more exposure. But Darnell hit that in such a way and in such a spot that I'm not sure, even if Bobrovsky squares up on him in an overlap and leaves himself totally exposed to the back door, a puck off a leg in front of him, that shot might still go in. Because if you pick a corner, you pick a corner. And sometimes we like to break down how a goalie plays it. And if you make that shot, it wouldn't have mattered. Now, clearly Bob was leaning towards a pass. And maybe if he squares up and Darnell doesn't see anything, doesn't trust that shot as much because he's facing Bob squared up and set and, blocker looking right at him, maybe he funnels that to the back door. And that's, again, part of the cat and mouse, not just within a series and pre-scouts, but just goalie and shooter on an every game, every moment basis. I think that's really good recognition by Darnell Nurse, assuming he saw that and saw the space and made a perfect shot to cap it all off. So it's one thing to identify it. It's another thing to execute in that moment. And Darnell deserves credit for all of the above.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. That was a key stop, I think, Kev. The other one, you look like Jake Wallman. They're shooting like where you're going to beat Bobrovsky is going to be glove. And I know you and I texted during the game last night, and man, like Connor McDavid's creating a lot, but he continues to want to try to beat Bobrovsky on the ice. I don't understand it. It's not working.
Yeah, I mean, breakaways for them in this series, and breakaways, like, let's not forget for the sake of this argument in terms of how they're categorized, there's multiple different chances. And the Oilers have been giving up breakaways that are more like center ice in, blue line in, like long, clear cut breakaways. But breakaways can also be one-on-ones in tight. And I do think, the Oilers are 0 for 6 on breakaways in this series. And I think only one of them's actually been lifted off the ice, right? And that was, I think, Draisaitl tried to go under the arm on the glove last night, which I applauded. And I thought it had a chance to squeak through. And you saw how tight Bob squeezed that. That's a great save. Listen, at the end of the day, it's really easy for me to sit here on my couch and say, you got to elevate when you're in that situation. The reality is, and we talked about this on Monday, the Panthers there aren't very many clear cut. Like, they're not getting waltz in from the blue line with no back pressure, without somebody on your hip and a stick on your hands. We saw that, right? The penalty that was taken on Bouchard, where he's, in alone or one-on-one with Bob, and that stick comes in and lifts it, and he misses the net because the sticks, and they get a penalty because the stick's in on his hands. Florida's not giving them clean looks, and it's really hard to elevate when you're moving at speed like Connor was. It's really hard to elevate when you get in tight, when you've got a guy on your hip trying to check you. But yeah, Bob just doesn't give shots up along the ice. Like, unless like the overtime winner, where it's a broken play or off a foot. We saw that in the Carolina series too, off Aho's skate. And you've got him moving and opened up ever so slightly. 5-hole is rare off those types of plays. Along the ice is exceptionally rare along those types of plays. You've got to find a way to get it over the pad. And listen, McDavid, with the speed he's coming in, he tries to beat him along the ice, and his hands are extended. And we talked about this as a shooter. Once you extend your hands, you can't elevate. Like, you just can't. So it's really easy for me to say this is one of the most skilled, obviously the most skilled, obviously the best player in the world. I don't know why I keep saying probably, he is. And if he can't get it up, then that's probably the situation, as opposed to him ignoring a pre-scout. But man, you're right. They got to find a way to get pucks above the pads. With Bob, sometimes that's not even enough, but there are times where they have him extended and stretched out in these one-on-ones. And unless you get it 12 inches off the ice, it's just not going in.
No, it's very true. Lastly, if you look at kind of how this series has gone, and you talked about maybe Florida doing some changes, giving up chances, the Edmonton Oilers had only scored 2 goals, 5-on-5, through the first 16 periods of games in Florida last year and this year. Then they scored 4 goals, 5-on-5, in the final 51 minutes last night. It was a huge turnaround. And guess what? None of them came with McDavid on the ice. And to me, that's a huge sign for the Oilers. I think it's a mental block, maybe more than anything else. We saw them, some other guys going higher for sure on Bob. We saw this last year, Kevin, in games 4, 5, and 6. The Oilers scored 18 goals. They scored 5 last night. Do you think it's a case of maybe them getting more comfortable with the scouting report, and we might see a few more goals from the Oilers on Bobrovsky here in game 5 and 6?
Well, I thought going into this series that they have the scouting report. And like, I believe that as much as last year, I felt like there were times where they had opportunities and it's like they hadn't read it. And I think there was some frustration there internally that they weren't executing or weren't doing what it broke down early last year. I think this year, including along the ice on breakaways, like, they know this is just the Panthers defending really well and making it really hard to get those looks, to, like I said, forcing you to extend the hands. And it's Bob too, right? Like, he draws you out. He pushes out at you on breakaways. He takes away time and space. It's not easy. There's a reason he's got those Vezina trophies and a cup already. So that said, to me, it's about getting to your game and being able to generate chances in the first place before you get the looks and then executing on them. And I felt like, obviously, in game 3, they didn't, because they were in their own end killing penalties most of the night. I thought in game 1 they did, and they scored. In game 2 they did, and they scored 4, even if one was with an extra attacker pulled. And a lot of it was on the power play. Like, the power plays come from generating chances and forcing teams to defend and take penalties. And I feel like the last, in 4 and 2, they got chances, but it was in a trade chances mentality. Like the high dangers were, 14-12 last night. And I don't know if you're beating the Panthers, even with Pickard just absolutely standing on his head from a high danger perspective. Like he's been one of the best goalies in the playoffs on high danger. And even if he can keep that up, I just don't know if you can win trading that many chances. And so to me, I like that once they got to their game after the second period, and whether it's a coincidence it's with him in net or not, they still gave up more than I'd like. But compared to before, they created way more. And so I think whether it's finishing on those opportunities 5-on-5 or using those opportunities to get you on the power play, it's that ability to sort of spend less time defending and get to your game at the other end because you're getting out of your zone cleanly, or you're not giving up stuff off the rush. You just what looks more like Oilers hockey. And I think in one in the end of 4, they got closer to that, other than the overtime. The overtime felt a little dicey, but other than that, I just feel like they're getting closer to their game, and with that will come the chances, and then it's a matter of executing when you get them.
Kev, great stuff, man. We appreciate the extra hit this week. Enjoy the weekend, and we will be setting up Game 6 with you next week.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, listen, like we got Calder Cup starting here next week as well, so Canadian team in that. We got an ECHL championship already won by Trois-Rivières, and Canadian team winning that. So I know the storyline in Edmonton is all about the Oilers, but I'm saying there's a chance.
The Canadian trifecta, ECHL, AHL, and NHL. Well, obviously the last time that could have happened was 93. So it's probably, I'll have to look that up. When was the last time, if it's ever happened?
I'm not sure it has. And even like, not to put too much shine on the Panthers in the Edmonton market, but that's their farm team in the American Hockey League that is won 8 straight heading into tonight's opener in Charlotte against the Abbotsford Canucks. So they are doing it at every level. Bill Zito, again, we'll see what happens in the Stanley Cup playoff, but regardless, deserves applause for how he's built this thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Kev. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
That's Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. I'm Jason Gregor. It is Positive Friday. We'll come back and we'll focus, dive in a little bit on the mental aspect and what a roller coaster it is. I don't know if any of you have watched have you watched any of that sprint series on Netflix that was capturing the 102 meter sprinters leading up to the Olympics?
No, I haven't yet. No,
buddy, it's unreal. I highly recommend. Like, first of all, when you watch them in training, like you get that close and you see how fast they are. Like it's ridiculous. But anyway, well, we'll get to Lorianne Munzer, Olympian, to talk about it because I found it fascinating, just some of the conversations they have in that sport, and how it finds, and how that connects to the Oilers and the Panthers in this Cup final. That's coming up next in the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Gene Principe. Hey, thanks for being on time.
I'm always punctual. Now, how about some cool beats while I drop the heat?
Ready when you are.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom! I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for AC season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike Legacy, I never know when to cool it.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
New Trust Alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new Cheddar Crust Pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping Cheddar Crust Pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry, though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
The dog days of summer means baseball. Every weekend, Sports 1440 carries Toronto Blue Jays ball games. Ben Shulman will have the call. Grab a cold one and tune in this weekend to Blue Jays baseball on Sports 1440.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
McDonald's sundaes and snack-size shakes are $2, or get $1 cones exclusively on the McDonald's app. With those prices, your hands are going to be full of treats. Like Alex here. My phone. I got you. App download and registration required. At participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
For a rock-solid start on all your spring and summer projects, Bashaw Concrete Products. From concrete to septic tanks, precast water pads to outhouses, plus aggregates, landscaping supplies, and more. Renos, construction. Start planning right now at BashawConcrete.com or call 780-372-3854. That's 780-372-3854. Family owned and operated, proudly serving Albertans since 1963. Bashaw Concrete Products.
The all-new 2025 Kicks, with expressive style and advanced tech, is Nissan's #1 selling subcompact SUV. Right now, finance an all-new Kicks from just 0.49% for up to 24 months. A top choice, with an offer that's hard to beat. Hurry into your local dealer and drive away in the all-new Nissan Kicks. Includes 0.5% loyalty reduction for qualifying Nissan owners. Conditions apply. See Nissan.ca for details.
Visit your local Edmonton and area Nissan dealer for more information.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
2:49 on a lovely positive Friday. How are you? Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger along for the afternoon ride as Oiler fans sitting back, enjoying life as their team is back in the series, baby. Tied at 2, game 5. Pivotal. Well, every game is pivotal in this series. I mean, at this point, would I be stunned if it goes 7? God, no. God, no. Like if the whoever wins on Saturday, could they win the next game? Sure. Could the Oilers win? That would mean they'd win 3 in a row to win the cup. It's very plausible. They won 3 in a row last year. It would be wild. And that means 2 of them in Florida. Or do the Oilers win game 5, Panthers win game 6, and then you're coming to Edmonton, and it's going to be a wild Friday night. Could you, like, selfishly, game 7, Friday night in Edmonton? Oh, I know some of you are like, scream, what are you talking about, Gregor? Get it over. I want him to win in 6. I understand it. That's why I said selfishly. It would be absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Now, let's go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical. You can take savings right now with Action. Building owners, you can earn a refundable federal tax rate up to 30% of a solar project's capital cost. It's massive. It's called the ITC. Learn more at actionelectrical.net. As Lorianne Munzer joins us, of course, Olympic gold medalist. And Lorianne, I'm watching the sprint series on Netflix, which of course chronicles the 100-meter and 200-meter sprinters at the last Olympics. Kind of, there was 2 seasons, and the first year was kind of about the World Championships and the build up to it, and it's a fascinating look, especially when you like the mental part of it. Like, we're talking, 1/100ths of a millisecond that can sometimes separate it. The winners and losers, especially for the gold medal at the Olympics last year in the 100. And like that mental drive, and I'm sure it is for all Olympians, like they're wired to want to win. And you can do a lot of things well and still lose. And it's kind of the same way in the playoffs, right? The difference is at an Olympic event, you get like, okay, the semis, and no offense for the top end ones, the quarterfinals aren't that hard. The semifinals are a little bit, but then you get to the final and it's like, oh my God, this is stress. And it's, 10 seconds or 20 seconds if you're a sprinter, and then it's over, and you don't get a second chance for another 4 years. Can you talk about the difference of that compared to maybe the NHL, where like Florida, they're up 3-0, they're feeling great, and then they lose, and now they got to reboot and be ready to play 48 hours later?
I think it's very similar, but it's totally different too at the same time, because as an Olympian, you literally, in a lot of the heats, you don't have the best of 7 or the best of 3. You've got one shot, Jason, and that's it. That's all. And there is zero room for error. Like if you're doing road racing like Alex Stita did or Clara Hughes did, you've got 100 kilometers. If you get a flat tire, you crash, or you get a mechanical, you still have some distance to be able to make it up. In sprinting, whether you're on the track or on a bicycle on the velodrome, you're literally neck to neck, and it's literally one hair that will separate first from second. I have a photo finish that separated first place from me in second place by 1/1000th of a second. And it is so fast, the human eye cannot see it. So you have to have the photo finishes. But it's just every shift that you go out as a hockey player, you got to play it like it's literally an Olympic final, because you make the shift count. You're not looking at the scoreboard. You're playing your own game. And I think that's the big deciding factor that's going to move you to that next level. That's where you respond versus react. If you play your own game, you are playing your own game. You don't get sucked in like they did the other game. We won't talk about that, but sometimes you have to have those experiences, and those experiences are where you learn the most.
And, you learn from experience. You probably learn, lots of athletes will say sometimes you learn more from failure. Have you watched that sprint series on Netflix yet?
I haven't. I hadn't even heard of it, but I'm going to look it up. Oh, totally.
Well, you're, hey, sprinting, running, sprinting, biking, it's the same thing, right? Like it's a short burst, and you got to be on, you got to know your opponents. And, a lot of it was, because in hockey, you're battling your opponent, but you can get in the way and disrupt them, right? But in sprinting, if I'm running as fast as I can, Lorianne can't do anything to me. Like you can try to look at me before the race and do all those things, but at the end of the day, you know what? You can't impact me, right? Like it was interesting, some of the mental warfare, like they're in the room, and I wanted to ask you this. So they're showing the footage, they're in the room, right? In the back before, because we always see them on the track. But they're in like this small room, like as big as our studio, and they're all there on benches. And so I'm sitting there, and you know what? I'm Noah Lyles, and all my 7 other toughest competitors are all essentially in the same change room as I am. Is that the same way as it is in cycling?
Well, we kind of call it the piranha tank. You've got the infield of the inside of the velodrome.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, we call it the piranha tank. I have no idea where it started, Jason. But then you've got the teams with their equipment and the managers. But then over on the opposite end, you've got a small little fishbowl of an area, and you can circle around. Typically, you're on your road bike versus your track bike, because a track bike has 1 gear, no brakes. So you want to save your legs, not too hard of a gear, but really easy. And you're circling around, and I tell you, you like the eye contact is going. Either you're looking at somebody to stare them down and wig them out, or you're just in your own zone. You've got your headphones on, you're listening to whatever's rocking it out, so you can get into that energy, into that zone. And I tell you, there's another level. So you've got the sprinting, running athletes in the room, but then in cycling, you've got 4 chairs, and you're literally waiting on deck. So sort of like baseball. But what you want to do is you don't want to sit down too soon, because you don't want to sit beside your competitor, but you also don't want to stand because you want to save your legs. And at the Olympics, Tamila Abasova, the Russian that I was up against, I just kind of hung back. She sat down on one chair right at the end, because then there's only 1 spot versus 2 spots where I could potentially sit down. So I decided I'm coming in right beside her, but I sort of sat on her a little bit. And then the legs of the chairs weren't tied together, because usually the officials or the coaches would steal them because they spend the whole day at the velodrome. Their legs are tired. They hadn't strapped the legs down. So I inched my chair about 1 inch or 2 in front of her. So I was already ahead of her before we got on the bikes. And there's stuff like that that goes on all the time. I'm sure with the swimmers, but the difference is in the sprinting event on the track, if you're a runner, you literally have to stay in your own lane. But on the velodrome, you have the whole width of the velodrome, and it's really wide. You can go up, you can go down, you can bang into your opponent, you can slow them down, you could take a run at them. You're not supposed to make contact, but oops, accidentally. A lot of the guys have more contact than the women do, but it's a great spectator sport because there is dumping, bumping that goes on. And it's just who is in the mental mindset frame is the one that usually wins.
Yeah, well, I would think so, right? And you do try to intimidate a bit. I don't know if you saw it in the warm-up last night. They were showing it on the broadcast. Stuart Skinner, he kind of has this routine. He gets his center ice, and he's looking in his own zone. And it started last year where Florida's backup goalie comes out and kind of stares him down. Now, I noticed Skinner's not even looking at him, right? Like he's not looking straight ahead where the guy is. He's looking over to his right. Right? Calvin Pickard came over and he kind of joked. He was like, hey, Vasnek, why don't you come and stretch over here? He's like, no. Oh, okay. And he laughed. He's like, I'm not really a chirper. I haven't chirped in a while. But, so when you have it, like somebody, it's like, hey, whatever, it doesn't matter. But could you tell when some of your actions were maybe mentally getting to your opponent?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a walk that you have. You stand up taller, you kind of puff your chest out. You walk like your biceps are flexed, your quads or quadzukis are just massive. And you're just going to be like, no, you own the space. And it's just, I am going to eat you up and spit you out twice because I'm just going to eat you up and keep going and going and going. And it will not matter what you do, is I will keep countering every move that you have. And then I still will be ahead of you. So there's, all kinds of looks, all kinds of smack talk, little gigs, snide comments. And it's just, that's the nature of the beast. And then the crazy part, Jason, after the race is done, you're like best buddies. Something, crazy has gone on or something, but it's like, yeah, you're comrades. It's your friends, right? And it's just, that's the way it goes.
Did anybody ever get you off their game early in your career?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
What did they do?
Oh my gosh. Anna Mears' sister, Carrie Mears from Australia. Oh my gosh. Commonwealth Games, 2002. She was dumping, bumping. She was riding Victoria Pendleton from Great Britain on the sideboard that actually separated where the spectators were. She was flicking and just moving them around. She was willing to win at whatever cost. And she had done that to me as we were into the finals. And I was about to run her down, run into her, and the gun went off, which signaled stop the race. I had no idea what had happened, but a spectator had been leaning over the rails and his watch had fallen off and gotten into the path of us. And, we're on a fixed gear. We cannot stop immediately. So if you've got something that goes through your wheels, it could potentially flip you off, crash you off. The official saw it, stopped the race. And that was a moment I was literally going to match her and do like how the Oilers had been sucked in with the Panthers. I was going to meet her at her game. And I thanked the official who shot the gun off to stop the race, because I went, that's not me. That's not how I play. And I literally let a gold medal slip through my fingers, but I was not willing to win at any cost. It was like fastest person, smartest person is the real true winner.
But did you then change, though, as you said, in the locker room, you're sitting down. So maybe that's before the race. But did you ever say at certain times, maybe I need more of a win at all costs on the track?
Never. No, okay. I will be a monster.
You never bumped anyone?
Not intentionally. No. I ricocheted off of riders. It's like, yeah. And Cuba's like,
Marianne?
Pardon me?
Accidentally on purpose?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Right.
Nope. Would I ride you up the track or down the track? Absolutely. So I'm in front and you're literally on my hip, and I just kind of muscle you up and over or down. And then you actually close the door on the person so they have no space to actually ride through. It's really interesting to watch as you watch it, because it's like it's in slow motion and the person's got to backpedal a little bit, because either they're going to run into you or they're going to run out into the boards. And yeah, don't really want to do that.
I want to get your thoughts quickly, because you work with lots of different teams in the mental aspect of this final. Like it's been an unreal final, things we've never seen before. When it comes to the comebacks late in games, the Oilers a 3-0 deficit on the roads, never been done before. Well, really since 1919, and even then it wasn't even two official NHL teams. And we're seeing even from like first period to second period, the Oilers have dominated the first period twice. Florida's dominated it, and then the other team dominates the second. What do you make of how could one of the teams find ways to level it out? Right? And do you think ultimately that's what it's going to come down to? The Oilers, I think, could stop taking stupid penalties in the first. That'd probably be, operation number one. But how do you think you can stem the tide so when the other team takes over, it doesn't last the whole period?
I think literally, Jason, you just got to focus on playing your own game. Do what you've set out to do. Stick to your own plan. Don't go for the shenanigans that the Panthers are doing. And it's literally, stick with what you guys are going to be doing. Like what has been decided. Stick with the plan. Don't try anything new. I see Knobloch changing a few of the lines again coming up because that is actually an interesting turnaround for the Panthers. But it's just, you know what? You got to stick to your own game and don't think about the cup. You've got to think about just your shift. Work your shift and play the best game that you have ever done and go back to the basics. Stick with the basics. Don't get fancy because it's when you try and get fancy that things usually get screwy and they go south.
Are you a nervous fan, Lorianne?
Oh my God. Yesterday I was like an absolute bear. I would call it probably the athlete's blues. I was just like, couldn't figure out which way was up. I was waiting for the game, couldn't wait for the game to start. And it's like, who knew which way it was going to go? It's like, I know which way I want it to go, but can the guys pull it off? And it's keeping the level, even head, doing your routine, sticking to the routine, stick to your guys that have got the good voice, the leadership, and you know what, pull it together and make it a we thing. Forget about me being an individual. You've got to play it as it's the Olympic final and go all out.
Did you walk away after the first period? Or did you stick and watch the second?
I was like con man. I was doing a whole bunch of other stuff because it was just too crazy. It was too hard, to be honest. And then it was like, but one eye was on the iPad, keeping an ear out to find out if there was going to be a flip of a switch.
And then once they started scoring, then you were back in.
Full on.
That's fair.
Full on.
Well, you're not in the minority on that one. That's for sure. Lorianne, have a good weekend. Enjoy Game 5.
Totally. See you next week.
That's Lorianne. Heck, even for an Olympic gold medalist, she's just like you. She rides the wave of a roller coaster of a fan. Can be sometimes too hard for you. I get it. People are just like, God, this is too stressful. Like nowadays I know they have all the technology. Some of you probably track your heart rate during a game. And I'm guessing like the peaks and valleys are massive for an Oilers fan. And even a Panther fan in the series, because it's been a wild series. Absolutely wild. The only game that was kind of meh was the Game 3, right? Like it stunk if you're an Oilers fan, and it was great all game long if you're a Panther fan. Let's get to the Con Man of Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home and no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long at legacyheating.ca.
The Sports 1440 update.
We've got Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight down in Indianapolis as the Pacers look to be a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Thunder. Tip-off set for 6:30 in that one. Round 2 action for the U.S. Open. J.J. Spawn atop the leaderboard at 4 under par. We've got Sam Burns and Thurston Lawrence at 3 under. As for the Canadians, right now, it looks like they all will make the cut. Taylor Penchett, 3 over par. Nick Taylor, 4 over. Mackenzie Hughes, 5 over. And Corey Connors, 6 over, which is the projected cut. In the CFL Week 2 rolls on tonight with the Ottawa Redblacks hosting the Alouettes. That one starting at 5:30. Tomorrow you got Boatman and Stampeders in Toronto, and the Tiger Cats hosting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Stingers are in action this evening out in Niagara for a meeting with the River Lions. That one gets going at 5. Tomorrow they're in Brampton battling the Honey Badgers at 5:30. And the Riverhawks road trip continues out in Kamloops as they kick off a series with the North Paws first pitch set for 7:30. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Oilers Nation Wanye Gretz, as well as Dr. Randy Gregg, and another edition of Cam Tate's 2-Minute Warning. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440,
a Stingray radio station.
broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The Discovery Day sales event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's your final month to lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $4,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Come and discover the deals now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
We finished.
That doesn't get you fired up. I don't know what will. Welcome to the J.
Going to be safe.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We
Because,
test
your
commercial
team-
operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Friday.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Time on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440. This is Andrew Walker, and join us for the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show before each Edmonton playoff game. Cross Mitsubishi on 34th Ave and 96th Street.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes,
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an AC repairman.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to fix air conditioners. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy. No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties, including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I know there's no such thing as a free lunch. But when you bring your used RV to No Bull, I'll give you a free roof assessment. Now, what do I mean by that? It means we'll climb up and take a real close look at all the joints and connections and seals on your roof, and give you a written report on what's going on up there.
How often do people get up on the roof of their RV, Rick?
Not often enough, Bob. You should do this twice a year.
Would I know what to look for if I did it myself?
Maybe. Depends on how experienced you are in RV maintenance. But remember, there's no free lunch. There's a 1 out of 10 chance I'm going to sell you something. But what I want to sell you is a small repair. The kind we catch before there's a lot of water damage, rather than the kind that costs you thousands once the leak is visible from the inside. And 9 times out of 10, the assessment is really free. And it's also free to know you'll be safe and dry this camping season.
And that's No Bull.
NoBullRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Buy Cantork's products. They're not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money. Support Canada at Cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show. the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
They get pretty fired up. At the Mexican call, con man? Spanish?
Spanish,
Spanish,
yeah.
yeah. Oof. Nice. Trade in the NHL. The Blackhawks have traded the rights to defenseman Victor Soderstrom to the Bruins for a 7th-round pick and defense prospect Ryan Mast. So there you go. Let's see what there little minor trade going on. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hope you're having a lovely Friday. I'm guessing if you're an Oilers fan, it's impossible not to. Your team tied it up in almost like a never seen before comeback in NHL history. On the road, down 3-0, down by 3 goals at any point in a Stanley Cup final. And they claw all the way back. They actually took the lead at 1 point, 4-3. Then the Panthers tied it with 19 seconds left before Leon Draisaitl, the overtime hero. So Leon Draisaitl set 2 records already in the playoffs. Number 1, most overtime goals in a playoff year, 4. There had been a few guys, including his teammate Corey Perry, who had scored 3. Matthew Tkachuk had scored 3. A few others. Draisaitl also sets the record for most overtime points in a single playoff year with 5. And he's done it in 6 games, right? Like the Oilers are 5-1 in overtime. The only overtime loss was Brad Marchand's goal in game 2. So he has done yeoman's work, to say the least, in the overtime period. And if you're at PlayAlberta.ca when overtime started, probably wouldn't be wise to put a few shekels on him at PlayAlberta.ca. $20 million up for grabs tonight in Lotto Max. And remember, on Oiler game days, you get the odd boost. So check it out, the Oilers and the Panthers tomorrow night. Now, we're going to get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Of course, they are the number 1 Volvo dealership in Canada for new car sales. And right now, the Discover Day sales continues on. You can lease a 2025 XC plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Great vehicles, better service. Only VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. And I want to focus a little bit here on the oil report on two goals. I thought, like last night, the Oilers' depth. I outlined it beforehand. The Oilers in their first 16 periods of Stanley Cup final games in Florida had scored a whopping 2 goals 5-on-5. 2. That's why they were only 1-4. They hadn't had a lot of success. And through the first period last night, it didn't look good. But then the Oilers, they found their stride. And when I look at the two goals I wanted to key in on is off of the forecheck, and really a relentless forecheck. It started with the Darnell Nurse goal, and that had the Henrique, Skinner, Frederick line. They were exceptional on that play, and they just kept the puck alive, battling along the boards, winning puck battles. Finally, Henrique gets it back to Ekholm, over to Nurse, and Nurse, a great shot from that angle. Fantastic shot by Darnell Nurse. And, obviously his celebration, you could see, I don't know how many times he screamed, "Let's go," but the guys were great. When you watch it over, you just see how hard the Oilers outworked them on the boards. And I thought all night long, Frederick and Jeff Skinner specifically, Jeff Skinner in both ends of the ice was really good on puck draws. But, man, that shot by Darnell Nurse up high over the shoulder, great shot from Nurse. And that line was, they got rewarded. And there's no brainer. They're going to keep them together for game 5. And then the other goal, of course, the Jake Wallman goal. See, these are both scored by defensemen, which helps when you got D-men who can shoot. But it started it was an extended shift, and Nugent Hopkins is battling behind the net by himself, kept going. Then Janmark was able to change on the fly, and he really started the play because he comes in, intercepts it. Kapanen finds Wallman, and he absolutely rips the one-timer. But it goes back, and I know the goal highlight doesn't cover off the shift before. I wish we could go back a little further because the work behind the net for Nuge, like anytime you can change in the offensive zone, it shows you how hard you've been outworking them. And then Kapanen, I thought a great play, not to shoot it, but to look for that pass. And it goes through the Royal Road. And we've talked about that on the show. Stephen Valaquette outlined that middle of the ice from the goalpost out. And that's what he did. Passes it across, get Bobrovsky moving. And what a ripper by Jake Wallman. But those two goals from those lines, that was really the difference in the game for the Oilers. And that's really hasn't been there in this series, especially in Florida the last 2 years. The Oilers were unable to get continual, relentless pressure on the forecheck. And to me, that's massive because it's got to be a boost to their confidence. If you're Chris Knobloch, you're showing those highlights in the room and their teammates are going nuts because that is just sheer effort and determination. Nothing more. Right? Like you got to work smart and you got to know how to cycle around and rotate in. So one guy goes and the other guy's protecting up high. So you're not getting caught below the puck. It's not just, okay, put my head down and work hard. You're still working smart. But I thought those two goals were monumental in the shift of that game for the Edmonton Oilers last night. Absolutely monumental. And you look at the depth guys in that game. Podkolzin, goal and assist. Nugent Hopkins, who, you know what, he's obviously, a good player on the Edmonton Oilers, but last night, his shot on the power play, great shot. But the work on that goal was phenomenal. And I don't think he got an assist. I don't think Janmark ends up, I got to look at the score sheet, but I don't think Janmark ended up even getting credit for an assist on that goal. But those two guys, man, the goal doesn't happen without them. That's why you always got to dig a little bit deeper just than goals and assists in the game, because that one was even on the other one. Skinner and Frederick, they don't get any assists, but they continue the play that started in the right corner that allows Henrique to end up getting the puck back to Ekholm. He rolls over to the left side to Nurse, goes down, and then makes a great shot. And you watch that. That's something I'm going to watch for in Game 5. If the Oilers have maybe figured out, you know what, this is an area maybe we can exploit Florida a little bit now. Because I do believe that Edmonton, if you look at the skating numbers at NHL Edge, Edmonton is a bit quicker. And Nugent, see, it's funny. They gave Nugent Hopkins an assist, even though Janmark, now maybe Nugent Hopkins somehow touched it after Janmark. I'd have to go watch it closely again. But Janmark doesn't get an assist, but he made the massive play to come off the bench on the fly. And Barkov, Selke Trophy winner, really good defensive player. Janmark creates a turnover, gets it off his stick, disrupts it. A few seconds later, it's in the back of the net. And I'm watching the replay again. So there's Janmark. I think Nuge did push it back. So okay, so give Nugent Hopkins credit on that goal, but also Janmark. So huge goal. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey boys, I like the Perry, Podkolzin, Draisaitl line. Do you think Kane will stay down low? That one comes in from Dan. Dan, excellent question. Evander Kane, I think, is at the point now where he's going to have to regain the trust of his coach, because it's 3 consecutive games that he's taken, I would call undisciplined penalty. Now, I'm not talking the cross-check. The cross-check, that's not a penalty. But he's had 3 high sticks in the opposition's face in each of the last 3 games. Like, those are easy penalties to call for the official. You couldn't critique any of the penalties called last night. I'm not one, man, I don't really get focused on the officials too much. And that's okay. The fans, I expect you to. You're emotionally invested. You're probably overly emotionally invested in the Stanley Cup final. I get it. And it's only going to build, because guess what? Now there's less room for error. You got 2 wins and you can only have 1 loss. You get 2 losses, you're done. So you got 1 more loss. That's it. That's the most you can afford now, the rest of the way. And when I look at those high sticks right to the face, it's obvious. Now I know people are texting, well, what about the high? It's interesting on Stetcher, because the puck goes up and it hits him on the helmet. And so by definition, I think that should be a penalty. I'd love to ask Dave Jackson on it. Like, when it's in the guy's face, you just react different, right? Like, you don't feel it on the outside of your helmet. You just don't, right? Like, the player doesn't react the same, and it's easy to always want to point out the missed calls because we're watching it in super slow motion. It's pretty easy. That's one, though, especially because it resulted directly in a goal. Give the Oilers credit. And even Darnell Nurse on his penalty. Did you see his reaction? I thought the Oilers last night, the biggest change I saw in their game was when there was a penalty, they didn't say anything to refs. Right? They went right to the box. Like, even Darnell Nurse is looking like, ooh, didn't agree with it, but didn't say anything. Right? They're not having a little hissy fit because you're not changing the ref's mind. How many scrums were there last night for the Edmonton Oilers? None. They don't need to get involved. We know if they want to push and shove, they can push and shove. They want to fight. Nurse did fine in the fight again. Gadjevich, you can do it. But when I look at the Oilers, they play better when there's less energy and focus in scrums. All right. Hey, Gregor, can you explain why coaching staff would have Bouchard out for the last 1.5 minute and 21 for the third when we were ahead by one goal? I understand he's a good D-man, but in the last 1:21 of the third, we're up by one. Why would we have our best defensive defenseman on the ice? Thank you, from Ken. Well, Ken, guess what? He wasn't on. If you go back and look, he wasn't on the ice for the game tying goal, was he? I got to double check that. But you got to remember, Evan Bouchard has been fantastic for the Edmonton Oilers in these playoffs. So I'm going to go look at the shift chart because that's going to impact it for sure to see who was just on and who wasn't on. He's the only right shot defenseman they have that they were playing. Troy Stetcher wasn't playing. So, that's going to come into it a big factor. Evan Bouchard plays, more minutes than really anybody on the team right now. And he was on the ice. But, I look at Bouchard and I don't know. He had nothing really to do with the goal. I don't think there's a defenseman that I would say would have played it better on that dump in. And so now I'm looking at the shift chart to see what the defense pairings were kind of prior to it. And so you look at Florida's goal and Bouchard going through Bouchard. Yeah, he was on for an extended shift. There's no question. Where does he get off? Right? That's obviously the challenge on was there a time, I'd have to go back and watch, was there a time that he could change? Ekholm had started, then Ekholm came off rather quickly, switched in, and then Brett Kulak came on afterwards. So, Kulak's played a lot of minutes. Him and Bouchard were playing. Kulak's a little bit quicker. Nurse is, he had taken the shift before Bouchard. So, obviously, we weren't going to put Nurse on the ice. He just came off. He'd been on for, if I'm looking at the shift chart, he had been on for 56 seconds. So he probably, maybe you could have recovered by the time you got 30 seconds left, but then you're not going to change on the fly at that point. So I don't really have a huge issue with Bouchard on the ice there. I don't think he made a wrong play that led to that. That was a little bit of a lucky goal, and he wasn't involved. Kulak went back to get it. Calvin Pickard, does Stu Skinner get out to knock that puck down? He's a little bit better at it than Pickard, maybe. But, Kulak's in the left corner, him and Draisaitl on the boards. Bouchard did nothing negative on that game time goal. Quick break. When we return, we'll get more on the Oilers. We got a defenseman who knows a thing or two about scoring in the Stanley Cup Finals. 5-time Stanley Cup winner, Randy Gregg, will join us next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, Alberta. The all-new Play Alberta app is here. Casino, sports betting, lottery, all in one app, right on your phone. And because it's Play Alberta, it's safe, secure, and reliable. Download it now and play over 500 online casino games, live dealer tables, and unique games you'll love. Plus, bet on sports from anywhere in the province. You in? Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and deposit using promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on the house. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus.
You have a choice, and it's a hard one. GMC employee pricing or 0% financing at Wolf GMC Buick. A hard choice, but also super awesome. Get GMC employee pricing on our Sierra lineup, from the Sierra half-ton to the heavy duties. If you have cash, get discounts over $12,000 on many of our Sierras, along with GMC pricing. Or choose 0% financing on our Sierra half-ton lineup. And what a great selection of GMC Terrains and fabulous Buick SUVs to pick from. So many choices. But one thing's for sure, you are getting the best deal at Wolf GMC Buick.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fan. Jones, your partner in power, just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Are you an elite athlete or weekend warrior and you just want to enjoy playing the sport you love with less or even no pain? Have you tried every exercise and stretch imaginable, hoping the next one might do the trick? Well, you tried analog. At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe healing can move along better and sometimes even faster with evidence-based technology techniques and the people who know how and when to apply it. StimPod, zero-gravity treadmills, radial shockwave, and so much more at your fingertips when you click to find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Reports suggest that Canadian taste buds are bored to tears.
Another dull drink.
Summertime smoothie experts everywhere are recommending a watermelon wake-up from Booster Juice.
It's so smooth, cool, and refreshing.
And ridiculously delicious. Enjoy the Watermelon Wave and Watermelon Explosion smoothies, available all summer long at a Booster Juice near you. Stay cool, Canada.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
So Friday continues on. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you. We have lots more to get to. The Oilers and the Panthers, of course. Also NBA pivotal game 4 tonight. Can the Pacers pull off the upset? Woo! Nice. You also got the Riverhawks continue. They're on the road. They basically, you're home for a week. Then you're on the road for a week. You're on the road like Tuesday to Sundays, and you're home for the following Tuesday to Sunday. I kind of like the schedule for the Riverhawks, and they are off to a good start. So we're going to talk a little Riverhawks combined with some Oilers, because you saw something last night that you hadn't seen since 1987. As we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Female Super League. It's designed to elevate female youth hockey. The FSL will provide a platform for U12, U14, and now U16 girls to develop and improve their skills. Learn more, get your daughter in the game at femalesuperleague.com. As we are joined by a 5-time Stanley Cup winner. He's in the Oilers. I like to call it the Ring of Honor, as well. One of the owners of the Edmonton Riverhawks, Randy Gregg, joins us. Dr. Gregg, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jason. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm really good. Let's we'll kind of dive in. Let's start about the Riverhawks. Off to a pretty good start, 6-3. I know it's tough in this league because you have a lot of new players every year. Kind of give us your assessment 9 games in, your thoughts on the squad.
Yeah. So first of all, you're absolutely right. It's not like the Oilers where we'll have the players for years and years and years, but we've sort of strategically set up a recruiting system where we may not get the 17 or 18-year-olds who haven't shaved yet, but might be a really, really good player 4 or 5 years from then. But to get an older player, maybe in a junior college league or a Division II league, somebody who really appreciates the ability to come up to a different country, play in Canada, see Western Canada and Western United States. But these young men are really dedicated. They're hardworking. We give them a fob to the dressing room so they can come and work out anytime they want. And I think that's reflective on the field, that they've got so much energy. They want to impress the scouts, but I think they're old enough to want to impress the fans too. So we add a little bit of Steve Hogel's creative thought process in there, then it becomes an entertaining game and very good baseball. So we're real happy with the results. The bottom line is, whether they win or lose, we want these young men to learn that they have to give it all every time they get on the field, and certainly we're seeing that so far.
Well, you look at it, you've been able to score a lot of runs. Were you expecting your offense to be this good?
Yeah, we did actually. We knew that from the recruiting standpoint, we'd be a strong hitting team. We're a little bit weaker on the mound, but again, these young men are learning. They get a chance to practice every day, and so we hope that we send them back to their colleges just a better baseball player than they were when they came in. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. We've got home runs galore. In fact, the first hit at Remax Field, our young Robert Stahl, the fantastic shortstop from Pittsburgh, hit it out of the park, and we thought, gee, are you going to do that every time? Well, sure enough, he hasn't, but what a great young man and a great athlete.
Well, in the other area, you guys have the best fielding team in the league right now, the best fielding percentage defensively. So not only are you hitting the ball, you can defend pretty well.
It's exciting to see that. Certainly the money that we in the city put into the facility to make sure that the infield is an artificial turf, it's natural, there's no bad bounces out there, but you still have to be able to play baseball. And, I just love watching the athleticism of these young men. Are they going to make mistakes? Sure. Not because they don't care, though, because they want to do their best. And so, you got to be happy with that for
sure. What about the schedule, Randy, and, how it sets out? Basically, you're home for a week, on the road for a week, home for from my standpoint, I would think, well, this makes a lot of sense on travel, but also maybe a little bit easier, for the players. You're not playing 3 on the road, then coming back, then going back out. It's pretty consistent for the players that can kind of get into a routine.
When we joined the West Coast League, somebody said, Randy, Edmonton's not on the West Coast, in the middle of the prairies, and they're absolutely right. So our travel schedule is a little bit different. We have to fly just about all the teams in, and we're willing to do that because we think it's important to be in a really good quality league like this. But after saying that, we started out, the league suggested maybe 9 home games and away for 9 to decrease the travel. And I thought that was hard on our volunteers, hard on our food and beverage staff, our ticketing staff, I think hard on the fans too. So we've changed it around this year. We go 6 hard days, and it's really exciting, and we get a bit of a breather. I think it's good for the players and also for the fans. So in the future, I think we'll stick with this sort of scheduling. I think it makes good sense for everyone.
Randy, I want to get your thoughts. Last night, for the first time since a young Randy Gregg and Kevin Lowe scored in the same Stanley Cup final game in 1987, did the Oilers have 2 defensemen score a goal? Darnell Nurse, Jake Wallman. I know you're watching the Riverhawks closely. Are you finding time to watch your former Oilers here in the Stanley Cup final?
It's really exciting for the fans in Edmonton to watch. I think back in the 1980s, the city was engaged by the Oilers, and I think they're that way as well here. So it's really great to see. I like to watch the highlights. To be honest with you, got a bunch of grandkids that play a little baseball, and they like Rapid to go out and throw the ball around. So watching the game compared to playing it is not the same. After saying that, I'm an Edmontonian, and I really cheer them on whether I'm watching or not. The one thing that I find, Jason, I don't know whether you agree with me, but this is a different game than we played in the 1980s. If I let an opposing player stand in front of Grant Fuhr for more than a second, I'd be benched. Our job is to keep the front of the net clear. Well, nowadays, of course, they're not big and slow, a defenseman like we were. They're agile, they're mobile, and what they do is they try to angle the players off. But when I see these goals being scored and there's 2 opposing forwards standing in front of the goaltender, I feel sorry for those darn goaltenders. In the past, Grant, our job was to make sure Grant saw the first puck, and the first shot, of course, he almost always stopped. So it is a little bit different strategy. I think I get it, but I like that challenge of getting in front of the net and trying to move those guys out of the way.
Yeah, I would think so. Like the game always evolves and changes for certain. And, I wanted, do you remember the game you and Kevin scored in the Stanley Cup final against the Flyers? You both score a goal. Like, is it easy for you to kind of, to remember, or is it more you just remember the win? You don't necessarily remember specific games and plays?
Yeah, my wife tells me I can't remember what I did yesterday. So 1987 was a long time ago. I think what I do remember was that fabulous team. I mean, when you have your 4th line center, Ken Nilsson, or it was amazing, the stars we had in that team. And yet, for all the stars we had, it was a great team. They came together very well. We did things together. We traveled together. We weren't in charters. We were on commercial flights all the time. And so one of the beauties of that is whether we won in 6, 7 games or 6 games or 5, it doesn't really matter to me. It's that legacy of coming together as a team. And what I get excited about this team this year is I'm starting to see the same thing. They always say that you have to learn how to lose to learn how to win. And last year was a tough one for the fans and tough one for the players. But I think that experience is showing now that, how can you come back from the 3-0 deficit and battle hard as a team. It's not Connor, also, he's a generational player. Not Leon, he's a fantastic player. It's all of them. It's the poorest defenseman that's going to win that Stanley Cup for them. So I really like to see, and I hope that the fans in Edmonton really appreciate the fact that, Chris Knobloch, how could you say anything bad about him? What a strategist, what a gentleman, never gets too upset on the bench. And if he doesn't get upset, then why should the players get upset? Stay focused. So I think whoever's put this team together has done a really, really good job. And I every time I see Chris, I haven't seen him very often, but I say, boy, keep up the good work. You are doing a fabulous job.
Now, Randy, I was looking up. It happened to be also in Game 4 in 1987 that you and Kevin Lowe both scored. But when I looked up on the game sheet, I see Randy Gregg power play goal in the second period. Were you getting a little gravy PP time back in 1987 on a regular basis?
Absolutely not. I think the 4 best defensemen were hurt that shift. So they said, well, we got to throw somebody out there. When your slap shots kind of end over end, you don't get a lot of chance in the power play. After saying that, and I think good teams realize that if you're a goal scorer, don't be defensive. You have to have some component of defense. If you're a defensive player, then be defense. And my job was absolutely not to score goals. My job is to keep it out of the net. And of course, luckily we had back then, as they do this year, some players can put the puck in the net. So do what you do best, and the power play was certainly not my expertise.
Now, Randy, as the managing director of the Riverhawks, and I know you've talked about, like, you love baseball, and you said, I might have been a better baseball player than I was a hockey player. And there really wasn't, the same options for young kids, back then that there is today to follow your baseball dreams somewhat. So when you're out as the managing director of the Riverhawks, like, do you go and watch batting practice? Like, do you like to get around the team that much? Because I know that's one of your first loves.
So I think it's really important for anyone who's in the administration not to hang on the side of the batting cage and watch. I do like to watch it. I think that's a coach's job to do that. But what I'm really proud of is I'm proud of the fact that there's 700 Canadians playing Division I baseball in the United States. So back when I played, that just wasn't a possibility. So, Canadian ball players have excellent talent. Sure, we have 4 or 5 months of snow, so we have to work inside sometime. But Canadian baseball is coming a long way, and I think we're seeing that in Major League Baseball. We're also seeing it in Division I baseball. So we're really proud to bring these young American players up, maybe even a little bit more proud to bring these young Edmontonian players to come. We have a young man named Matthew Risdale who works down at Remax Field. He's going to University of Alberta and throws 85, but he's a sneaky little left-hander and got us a win in the second game. So, those are the real exciting parts of this. The Riverhawks will do a good job. We'll sustain here. We'll put money back in the community. We'll make sure that the field is kept up. But really, it's the legacy of the players, whether you're from Los Angeles or Two Hills. It doesn't really matter to us.
Well, Randy, continued success with the Riverhawks. I know that there's almost no tickets available left for Canada Day. Ticket sales early on have gone quite well. The next homestand starts next Tuesday, and the team's winning. Any fun promotions that you're aware of that are coming up, or is that not in your wheelhouse?
Well, I can't even spell promotions, but our GM, Steve Ogle, certainly can. So, yeah, every day there's a promotion. There's something really fun on the field. Now, we always say there's 1,500 people who sit in the bathroom and watch baseball, and there's 1 million people who want to come and be entertained. And so I think we have to provide opportunities for both. I'm one of those 1,500 that loves watching baseball. I love the athleticism, the strategy, the coaching, and so forth. The respect that these young players have, it's really wonderful to see. And yet the beer is cold. It's reasonably priced. There's some good hot dogs, and it's a nice warm summer in the River Valley. So you can't really complain about that either.
Well, Dr. Randy Gregg, as always, thanks for joining us. Continued success, and enjoy the Riverhawks, and enjoy the final 2 or 3 games of the Stanley Cup final.
We certainly will. Yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
That's Randy Gregg, who always kind of downplays his athleticism, but you don't win 5 Stanley Cups just by being at. Randy scored 40 points one year. He could he could move it. Now, he knew his role on the team, right? Like, they had a lot of offensive guys. He didn't say, hey, I need to be the next one, but he still had the skill set when need be. He can make a few offensive plays, no doubt about it. 3:39, we got a lot of texts flying in. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. We'll return. We got lots more hockey talk coming up. The Oilers and the Panthers. Many of you texting. I was just asking about the roller coaster of emotion that you endured as a fan last night. We've had a few of you admitting that you turned the game off. It was too, and then you actually even turned your updates off on your phone. Regretting it from Brant says I turned the game and the notifications. I feel shame. So yeah, like I'm curious, when you turn it off, you wouldn't tease yourself. Let's just go see, like, maybe, like, where's the score at now? Because it would have been hard to be worse than 6-1 of the previous game. So I wonder how many people shut it off and didn't go back. And if you didn't go back and they came back, are you now superstitious and like, oh, I can't watch? I hope not. Because I'll tell you right now, you might not get to an experience a situation like this. You don't know when the Oilers are going back to the Stanley Cup final. It's not. I know that it's 2 years in a row, but it's never a guarantee, man. It's hard. It's really hard. So hopefully you get to enjoy it. We'll return to the Gregor Show, presented by Play Alberta. CA.
The Discovery Day.
Livingston around or what? Oh, okay, perfect. Is he on the road?
He just told me he was flying around today.
Oh, that's fine.
Just in the shop.
Oh, his shop's fine. Yeah, so I'm debating if I'm going. I'm looking at flights. They're really fucking expensive. But
You go for a game.
well, I'd only go for game 6. And like if Edmonton loses game 5, I'm not going for sure. But see, I'm torn. I'm like, because I think if Edmonton wins game 5, Florida's going to win game 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. I don't want to fly all the way there. Because I don't really want to fly on Father's Day. My wife told me her and Beck
Courses of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Feeding a crowd, get the triple plate. 3 large specialty or 5 topping pizzas for only $54 when you use promo code 3play at papajohns.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Positive Friday. How are you? Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having an awesome day. The Oilers travel day. Same with the Panthers. They'll get into Edmonton later on this afternoon. Probably both teams have some dinner, good sleep, and then they're back at it tomorrow. So a little bit quicker of a turnaround, but I know we got a lot of texts from people. Oh, I think this is really too hard on the players. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? They never used to have 3 days or like 2 days between games all the time. Like this is not a big deal. Like they'll be fine. They do this in the regular season quite often, where you come home from a road trip, you play 2 days later. Just how it goes. So, and sometimes you're playing 3 games in 4 nights, etc. So I wouldn't worry too much. Trust me. Fatigue is more mental at this point than anything else for both sides. Let's get to the racing report now, brought to you by Cantork. The best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Cantork's products are not only made in Canada, but they're made right here in Edmonton, the city of champions. Save money, support Canada at cantork.com. As Colin Livingston joins us once again. CL, how you doing?
Man, I am running like crazy today. I didn't even, I wasn't really paying attention to the clock. Obviously, normally I head down to the studio. We do this face to face, but yeah, we're in the middle of building go-karts and we're renovating the shop with new LED lights. So I was up on the forklift. I'm like dirty like a pig right now.
No. F1 comes to Canada again, and it's probably going to be wet. I've been there. I got to see an F1 event live. It's quite an experience. I'd recommend it to anyone, but it seems to always rain. Seems to always rain at some point on this weekend. When you look at the rain, do you see, is there one team or anybody that you think's better suited, or even drivers that are just better in the rain?
Yeah, I mean, right now Max is probably the best in the business. Max and Lewis have both done remarkable things, but last year there was some, one of the better passes that I can remember, Alex Albon in a drying condition track. There was one little patch. I mean, he passed 2 cars in the last chicane onto the front straightaway, was like crazy good. Yeah, I mean, the veterans tend to be the better ones in the rain. It takes a long time to really master and control a Formula One car with the amount of power that they have, and trying to figure out how to modulate the throttle. But these guys, they're all good from start to finish. But the only way to really learn is to do it. So we saw at the first race in Australia, Hadjar didn't make it to the first corner. Lots of carnage throughout the field. So no matter how good you are, it's still pretty difficult.
Looking at Ferrari, and Ferrari historically has been one of the most successful teams in all of racing. The last few years, they've been good, but they haven't been able to dominate. McLaren's now ahead. Red Bull obviously dominated them for a while. You got Mercedes. Now they're based in Maranello.
Yeah.
And, most of the teams are based in the UK, where it seems more, staffing experience is. Is that a real factor, do you think? Like, do they struggle getting people? Because there's like the CFL has a salary cap for coaches and management, and F1 does have a cost cap as well for their teams, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not helping them to attract new talent and new ideas, so really, unless somebody is still really enamored by the prospect of going to work for Ferrari, it's tough to get people to make the switch. Most of the experienced engineers and developers and designers, they're already in the UK. Their families are there. So the idea of attracting new people and expecting them to pick up and move to Italy, it's very it's unlikely, and they're definitely not going to be getting the best people. Where most of the McLaren, Red Bull, Aston Martin, Mercedes, they're all within a few kilometers of each other. I mean, most of them are within fairly close proximity to Silverstone. The distance between the teams is 100 kilometers. So if you switch teams at some point in your career, it's not a major life change. But if if you're trying to get people to come in and help bolster what's going on in your Ferrari operation, you got your hands full. So what they rely a lot on the Italian Formula teams, the local teams that are F2, F3, the European Formula. That's where their people are coming from. I had the conversation with somebody, I think it was just yesterday, where it doesn't make sense for them anymore. I know they want to stay based in Italy, but there's no reason why they can't develop an engineering, a design department in the UK where they could still have those people working remotely. I mean, right now, FP2 is going on. I'm watching it on the side screen here, and I know that there are engineers with all these teams pouring through terabytes of information in real time as these cars are on the track. There's no reason why they can't, start doing that with some of their design and development if they really want to get back to the pointy end of the grid.
You think this is Lance Stroll's final Canadian Grand Prix?
That's a good question. No, I wouldn't be surprised if he stops at the end of the year, because he just doesn't seem to be enjoying it. And it's not like Lance is racing because he needs the job. It depends how much influence Honda has when they take over as the engine supplier in the off season, as well as how much is Adrian Newey going to influence the driver situation, depending on what kind of car he's designing for 2026? Those are two big question marks. Do you bring Alonso back? Alonso's not having a great season. I don't think he forgot how to drive. It'll be interesting no matter what, though.
Do they have any young drivers you think that would be ready to take over, who could be better than Stroll? Or is their car not really competitive?
Well, the car's definitely not competitive. I think they're definitely fully focused, even from before this year, on their 2026 program. Drugovich, who is a F2 champion, don't quote me on that. I believe he was an F2 champion 2 years ago. He's waiting in the wings. Yuki Tsunoda is has been underwritten by Honda for a long time. I would not be surprised to see them try and bring him in, especially, as they're going to be the engine supplier next year. There's still guys, though, like Bottas is still sitting on the sidelines. Lots of kids are coming up. It just depends. I think most of these teams nowadays, they want the veteran to start shaking out, especially when there's new rules, because they've got the previous experience to be able to, have a baseline of what the car's supposed to feel like in good condition. But these are the super interesting things. And I love the speculation and trying to figure out where things are going.
Colin Livingston joins us in the Cantork Racing Report. Indy is getting back on the oval this weekend in St. Louis. This one, though, it's almost like an egg-shaped oval, is it not?
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite oval tracks for IndyCar, like for the NASCAR series down in the States. Really, really unique. That turns 1 and 2 are quite tighter. They're very sharp and short, where the complex at 3 and 4 quite fat, very sweepy. It's like almost impossible to optimize your car for both ends of the racetrack. So if you tend to be good at 1 and 2, you probably won't be as good in 3 and 4, and vice versa. So you either kind of compromise both ends, or you try and, I would always go towards the 3-4 side of things, because that's where you carry the most speed. That's where you get the biggest run onto the front straightaway. And because 1 and 2 is fairly tight, it's way more difficult to pass there. So if you can, if your car's not perfect in 1 and 2, you can throw more of a block and then capitalize the rest of the track. That's just the way that I would do it. But as I'm watching FP1 here on one side, IndyCar doesn't actually hit the track until tomorrow, so we don't have a lot of real-time stuff to talk about. But Leclerc in FP1, I can see he's not gone out at all in the second session. There's only 4.5 minutes to go. He made a mistake going into turn 3. Locked up his tires, didn't bail out of it, pancaked the left side of the car. So they basically, and that was really early into FP1. So they'll definitely have the car out and be ready to go for FP3 before qualifying tomorrow. But that's definitely going to put them behind the 8 ball.
And lastly, Carter's, you guys up this week?
We were racing Wednesday. I'm still on the sidelines medically, but have a checkup on Monday, and hopefully I can get the green light to get back in the cart, because I'm getting tired of watching from the sidelines. But a little bit more eventful. There's a little bit more argy-bargy out there and a little bit more contact than what we've seen the first 2 races. So hopefully the boys got it out of their system. And if I'm back, if I'm back next week, I'm not going to be anywhere near these guys, because my conditioning has really taken a pounding over the winter. So as long as I don't get lapped, I'll be happy. And if I can see that they're coming, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna have an engine issue, or a slow puncture or something that's gonna cause me to pull off and get out of the way.
All right, so you'll be the sportsman driver early on, is what you're saying.
I always try to be, there's a weird thing that happens when that helmet goes on. That's
crazy how that is, eh?
All these good intentions go out the window when that helmet goes. I don't know if it just like chokes off the blood flow to your brain or what it is, but no, I mean, if I'm racing somebody, then I'm racing them. But if I'm just out doing laps and the leaders are coming up, I don't want to be in the way. I would always pull off and stop, because you're not going to advance anything. You're not going to change your outcome. And by that point, if I'm that far off that I can't, at least race with my class of guys, I'll get out of the way and go back to the gym, and hopefully the next day I can run a little bit quicker.
Awesome. Well, have a good weekend, Colin. Enjoy the racing, and we'll chat with you next Thursday.
Sounds good, man. Thanks a lot.
It's Colin Livingston in the Cantork Racing Report. We'll come back. We got 2 hours left, and it's going to be wall-to-wall coverage talking NHL. We got Button. We got Spec, Low Tide. Wanye Gretz will be by. We got 5 questions, and we'll get your thoughts, because we got a lot of text flying in at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. The game last night, and here's a question. Do you think it's like a no-brainer that Calvin Pickard starts? Do you think Stuart Skinner starts? 833-401-1440. Let's get to the con man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to $12,000 off a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Denali Ultimate. Only GMCCanada.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game 4 of the NBA Finals goes tonight down in Indianapolis as the Pacers look to take a 3-1 series lead over the Thunder. Tip off for this one set for 6:30. Round 2 action at the U.S. Open. Right now, Sam Burns and Tristan Lawrence tied for top spot at 3 under par. J.J. Spawn and Thomas Derby sitting second at 2 under. When it comes to the Canadians, you got Taylor Pendrith 3 over, Nick Taylor 4 under, Kenzie Hughes 5 under and over, and Corey Connors all plus. Cut right now set for 6 over par, so they'll all be playing over the weekend. In the CFL tonight, you got Ottawa taking on Montreal. That gets going at 5:30 tomorrow. Doubleheader at Toronto and Calgary, and then Saskatchewan in Hamilton. Local action singers are in action taking on Niagara. They'll meet the Riverlines tonight. That one gets going at 5 o'clock. Then tomorrow taking on Brampton. That gets going at 5:30. And the Riverhawks road trip continues in Kamloops, kicking off a series with the North Paws. First pitch set for 7:30. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation, Craig Button from the NHL on TSN, and the last 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Stingray Radio Station. CKJR. Broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
If you bleed orange and blue and you're not using the all-new Play Alberta Sports and Casino app, then you're missing out. It's the only online sportsbook with odds boosts on all Oilers games. And now, it's not just sports. Play the slots, hit the tables, buy lottery tickets, all in one app, all across Alberta. Download Play Alberta now from your phone's app store and use promo code GOAL for a $100 bonus. That's promo code GOAL!
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
One field, one mission, 0 tackles. Sports 1440 proudly supports the 24-hour charity flag-a-thon, June 13th to 14th at Torres Field, benefiting the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation. Non-stop flag football fun and fundraising, all to help the kids who need it most.
At Fitted Golf, we know that you continue to believe.
It's not my clubs. Really, it's my swing.
Except it's already June, and you're still not playing the game you want because you continue to insist it's not your clubs. Except it really is your clubs, and we prove it every day. Fitted Golf customers continue to be amazed at how good they actually are when they use the right clubs for their swing. Why would you play the game you love but not love the way you play it? From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Visit fittedgolf.ca.
With all the news about tariffs and price hikes coming our way, you have to be strategic with your money. St. Albert Dodge knows that and has some good news for you. Right now, all Ram 1500s are available with 0% financing for up to 72 months. So think about it. You can get into a brand new Ram 1500 right now at
Get pretty fired up.
while selection is still good and pay 0 interest on your financing. That keeps more money
At the
in
Mexican
your pocket. And that's how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Jumpstart your summer.
The Friday continues on.
Drinks. Enjoy a small iced coffee, Frosty-Chino, or Frosty Fizz for only $1.99. But hurry.
Positive Friday.
9 small drink at participating Wendy's. Only available until June 29th. Taxes extra.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
First of this hour, brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Nach den Eigendrittel in der regulären Spielzeit. Noch Connor Brown.
Und da ist das erste Spiel nach 37 Siegen in Folge, oder? Für das Team, das 304.
What they were saying, it sounded good, but obviously that's the German edition of the game-winning overtime goal. It's definitely. It is now a best of 3. And the Oilers have home ice advantage. Oiler fans, many of you have never been in this situation. You've never been in a situation late getting into game 5 where the Oilers are not trailing. They were down 3-1 against Carolina in 06. They were down 3-1 against Florida. Now they have won game 5 both times and game 6 both times. And remember, the Edmonton Oilers are now 19-2 in games 4, 5, 6, and 7. The Oilers have won 10 consecutive game 4s. As the series goes on, they find ways to win. Does it bode well for the future? Dun, dun, dun. Look at your crystal ball. I don't know. Now, I had the Oilers winning before the series began, so I'll still stick with the Oilers winning. But we'll see. It's been a great series. It's been a series of things you've never seen before. The 2 latest tying goals in the Stanley Cup final ever happened in this series. 18 seconds, 19 seconds. By Corey Perry, 18, Brad Marchand. Corey Perry, 18, and then last night, Sam Reinhart at 19 seconds. Wild. You've never seen a road team come from a 3-goal deficit in the Stanley Cup final to win a game since 1919. And that game involves Seattle, who wasn't even an official NHL team. So is it really an NHL game? It's not even on the NHL website. I had to get the game sheet from Mark, my good buddy at the NHL stats to send me, because the game did occur, but it wasn't an official NHL game, but they still qualified in the NHL record books, funny enough. So either way, you haven't seen that. No one has ever seen a player score 4 overtime goals in one playoff year. No one has ever seen a player have 5 overtime points in one playoff season, but that's what Leon Draisaitl does. He has both of those NHL records now with 4 goals and 5 points. It has been a wild postseason and a crazy final with 3 of the 4 games going to overtime. That's only the 6th time we've ever had 3 overtime games in a playoff year in the final. 2014, 2013. You also had 1951, 1946. It does not happen very often, but you got that. Now, if you get to 4, the only other playoff series ever that had 4 overtime games in the Stanley Cup final, 1951. Toronto, Montreal. Toronto ended up winning that series. So who knows? Who knows? Now, we welcome in Wanye Gretz, now, are you a pacer? Do you turn the game off? Are you going for a walk? What are you doing when it's 3-0?
3-0, I'm reconsidering my life. I'm like, maybe this hockey game, same for old Wanye, 3-0, this is a real heartbreaker. But as they clawed back in, I didn't sit down for the third or overtime. It was going down.
You stood up the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you a pacer when you watch?
Yeah, well, I'll stand. I kind of rub my face and wonder what I'm doing with my life.
Mm-hmm. Are you a cursor?
No, but I'm a cheerer.
Okay.
I'm not one of these people who can't cheer when the game goes their way. I have to cheer.
Yeah, I have to cheer. Okay. Yeah, because some people, they don't get. So you didn't jump off your couch because you're already standing up. But like when Jake Wallman scored.
Yeah, I mimicked his celebration. I watched what he did, and then I kind of took a knee, did like a pump.
Okay.
That was a big league goal.
Oh, yeah.
That backswing started at 12 o'clock, too. Like, I haven't seen a shot like that in quite some time.
Yeah, wow. Hey, Wallman's got a bomb of a shot, man. Like the Oilers, they got 3. Ekholm can really rip it. Wallman can really rip it. Obviously, Bouchard can rip it. They got some guys from the blue line. And first time since 1987 that the Oilers, Game 4, by the way, of 1987, where the Oilers had two defensemen score a goal in the Stanley Cup final in the same game. So just a lot of things you don't see very often. So we'll see if the Oilers can finish it off now. They obviously need to be better in the first period. That's Captain Obvious here. Like, I don't know. Here's a bold strategy. Stay out of the freaking penalty box in the first period. 13 penalties in the first period so far this series for the Oilers. 13. Like, that's you're shorthanded more than 3 times in a period, for gosh sakes. Like, it's ridiculous. 3.25. So they got to be better there. And you know what? Chris Nombach doesn't point out much, but he just, you know what? Hey, we took a few more penalties and I'm hating the high sticks. Like, you know what? Enough's enough.
Is that one of the most shocking hockey games you've witnessed? Given the magnitude, being down 3-0, the whole.
Yeah, like it is for sure. Like, you're on the road and you're in a place where the Oilers have done jack squat offensively in Florida, other than the one game, right? In their previous 5 games, they had scored 8 goals, only 2 of them 5-on-5, and 5 of the goals came in one game. So in their other 4 games, they had a grand total of 3 goals, right? So you're like, oh my God, here they go. And they'd score 2 5-on-5 goals in 16 periods. And then suddenly they score 4 5-on-5 goals in 51 minutes. And guess what? Connor McDavid wasn't on the ice for any of them. That to me is the most impressive thing. And again, it goes back to my point. Anytime someone wants to tell me about, oh, you know what, need a Stanley Cup to be a great player of the greats, I'm like, you need great teams. And yesterday, Henrique, Skinner, Frederick, awesome game. Like, they were outstanding. If you like board battles, that was sweatpants game for you watching that game. And the goal, the effort by Nugent Hopkins and Janmark and Kapanen on the Wallman goal was fantastic. That led to both of the defense goals. And, you know, you have Calvin Pickard coming off the bench. His save on Lundell in the second period was pretty huge. But obviously the save on Sam Bennett in overtime gets a piece of it, his glove, goes off and there's where maybe a little bit of luck, right? He got a piece of it with his glove. And then instead of going in, it hits the crossbar and goes out.
That goal to me is on a tier with the Cujo save when he did it on Nieuwendyk. Like, given the magnitude of the save, given
it's close. Yeah, it was really close.
Cup on the line.
Yeah, well, you could. Yeah, well, that was probably bigger maybe because it's in the Cup final. That was in round 1. But the Oilers lose the game. They're out, right? Like, their playoffs hopes are over. If Joseph doesn't make that save, technically the Oilers aren't officially done, but they might have been unofficially done. It was a massive save. There's no question about it. It was like the Joseph one, you didn't think he had any chance because Nieuwendyk was closer in, right? Like, you know, to get across there, obviously Pickard did it, but it was huge. I'm sure for Oiler fans, like, when you try to think of massive saves amongst goalies, there is the Cujo save. Dwayne Rollison had a save might have been the San Jose series in 06, or maybe it was the Detroit series. Might have been the glove save in Detroit in round 1. That was phenomenal. You know, Grant Fuhr in game 1 of the 1984 Stanley Cup final, Kevin McClellan goal. You will go back and you watch some of the saves that Fuhr made in that game. Like, he was off the charts good there. But yeah, for recent memory, yeah, no question about it. So like, that will go. It's a huge stop that will go down. You know, in folklore amongst Oilers fans. And as I've said all along, and I joked about this earlier, if the Oilers win, this will be the first Stanley Cup for Oilers fans, I don't care what age, in the social media era, in the internet era, where you can go down rabbit holes of rewatching your favorite moments of the Stanley Cup final. Now, think about, guys, and how often you rewatch your favorite movie or maybe your favorite episode. Hands up for me, Seinfeld, and other ones where I've watched numerous times. You have highlight reel packs going that people will make, and people will spend hours rewatching it, and all it will do, even though they know the outcome, just like your movies or your TV shows, guys and even gals are going to watch it over and over and over again. Like, I guarantee you, there'll be some people in July, they'll have a house party, and some guys, you know, he'll have recorded the game and he'll have, hey, do you want to go, like, if the Oilers win, whether it's in 6 or 7, hey, you want to go rewatch the clinching game? Yep. Like, honestly, how many times is it going to happen?
I would love to watch the 06 run. Like I'll watch games from that for entertainment.
Yeah, and they didn't even win,
No.
right? But it was still a great, like, that's what I was like. It's a fantastic run right up until Game 7. You loved every part of it up until Game 7. Well, maybe not the Rolly injury, but everything else fans really enjoyed. And then, because you had the Pisani goal in Game 5, and this one will, if the Oilers finish it off, Game 4, I think will be one of the most talked about games 10 years down the road. When they remember the Stanley Cup, they'll remember Leon Draisaitl's over. Now, something else bigger could happen here in the next 3 games or 2 games, whatever it is. But to this point, it's going to be hard for a game to match the memory for Oilers fans of Game 4. Impossible. Well, maybe not impossible, but hard to match.
It's interesting too that like the people in the Moss Pit, the people who are watching at home, like they're having their own 06 Cup run. There's no such thing as a non-exciting Cup run. Like these moments are insane, and like the 06 moments that you can remember the drop of a hat 20 years later. 20 years from now, they'll be.
It's funny how people don't seem to remember the 24 one is like it just happened last year, right? And you still 06 was great but both went to 7. And the Oilers got really close, but I think it's still fresh enough that people don't like 24. 06, it's gone, it's 20 years later, and you're like, oh, I still did have a pretty good time. And you were obviously younger. You were in the age of, you're out at the bars and you're having fun. And I think now parents having fun with their kids is a different time. You always have different phases, right? There was people in 06 who were like you. Now you're watching it and you're watching it with your son and you're seeing how excited he gets. And so it's a different feeling as you watch.
Do you think that the 24 and the 25 feel substantially different to you, or is it the same team twice?
No, well, it's been different because they got to the final much easier, right? There wasn't like rounds 2 and 3 for Oilers fans might have been the 2 least amount of stress that Oilers fans have had. Like it was shutout central, right? Stuart Skinner comes back and he's just pitching shutout after shutout. You're like, what the hell is going on here? And then in Dallas, you had one bad period. And the other 14 periods, the Oilers dominated, right? Like they won every game by 3 goals, at least. So, yeah, I think it's different because this one, up until now, hasn't had the angst. But this Stanley Cup final has been wild, right? 3 overtime games. So people are, if they chew their nails, they're down to stumps, right? Some of you maybe have lost weight simply because you're stressed out, right? Like I see people, and I went. I stood on my deck and I saw people because there's a little behind our house we have like a man-made lake, and you can do a lap, I think, if you're walking at just a normal pace in about 11 minutes. I think I might have seen more people out there between the third and overtime because that's just a way for people to de-stress. I get it. You got to do whatever you have to do, but people are just like, I got to move. I got to do something. You know what? Maybe they're listening to a song. I don't know what they're doing on the walk, but they're doing something.
What were you doing during intermission?
I was looking up some stats.
Oh, yeah.
Makes
sense.
I was trying to, I was looking up some stats of the, like the Oilers record. When was the last time a road team ever won? And I didn't find it. So I was like, oh God, they're the first one. And then the NHL, and they was like, well, actually this year. And I'm like, what? I didn't even went on the NHL website and I'm looking, I'm like, what did they talk about? There's no Seattle, Montreal game. So I actually emailed him back and he laughed. He's like, well, actually the game's not on the website because it wasn't an official NHL game, but it's in the NHL rule books. But either way, so it's kind of a weird one. I still think this is the first time ever for 2 NHL road teams. But, you look up the Draisaitl, and then I'm looking up to see, okay, if he scores a goal here or if he gets a point, I knew he'd break the record for points either way. And, just other guys. So that is lots of things I'll look up during the time. But I see it like, my wife's like a lot of people, like she can't watch really, right? Or it's funny. She can't watch it downstairs, but then she'll go upstairs and watch it. It's weird, right? But I think like she likes to watch it in her bedroom. And I don't know if maybe I think because honestly, she gets under the covers and then like half the time the cover's over her head and she's listening, but not watching. I don't know that because I don't go up there. It's like, that's her thing. Some people don't like to me, it's whatever. I don't get really nervous when I watch the game. I'm pretty calm actually. So.
Did you cheer last night?
No.
At any point?
No.
Even when Draisaitl scored?
No, not. Well, Draisaitl's goal, it's funny. It's an overtime winner, but it's so anticlimactic. The one goal with my son, when Wallman scored, my son, he's sitting right beside me. And that was the one where I got pretty fired up, right? Because that's the lead. And there was 6 minutes and change left at that point. So.
And no curses when Florida scored?
Well, it was all in the first period.
No.
No, to me, my frustration watching the Oilers in the first period was how many stupid penalties they kept taking. Right? I'm like, what are they doing? Like, we talked about this for 3 days on the show. Be more disciplined in the first period. And then high stick, a 5-on-3. Now, that Nurse penalty I do think is a penalty. It's kind of a bang play, trip the guy, whatever. I don't love it, but I don't hate it as much as the high sticks, especially because that's what the refs are calling. Like, it's really known, I guess, unless you hit a guy in the helmet, on the Spector one. But, any high stick that gets in the guy's face, like, it's automatically called. It's just like, I didn't, actually, the one time where I get upset, but anybody who listens to the show knows, has nothing to do with the Oilers. It has everything to do with the NHL's embarrassing stance on hits from behind. It is so comically awful that Verhaeghe hits Bouchard blatantly in the numbers. Even if you don't want to call it hit from behind, how do you not call it boarding? I don't understand that, because literally a minute and a half later, Leon Draisaitl, blatant elbow right to the kisser. That's a penalty all day long on Leon. He can't let his emotions get the best of him. But I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, that's a penalty. And Oilers fans get mad. It's like, well, that's a penalty. Why wasn't the Bouchard one? And I'm telling you, because the NHL does not care about hits from behind. It is the stupidest stance they have, but make no mistake, that's their line in the sand. And they're like, hits from behind, we're okay with. It's beyond lunacy for me that still happens.
It's the double dribble of the NHL.
Did you like that tweet?
I love that.
Yeah. That was
true.
Pretty, yeah, I got to give credit to that tweeter. But that was very accurate. It's become the double dribble. Right? You're allowed to double dribble. You're allowed to hit from behind. Now think about the differences of those two things. No one gets hurt on a double dribble. Guys can get hurt on a hit from behind. What are we doing? We'll take a quick break. Craig Button will join us on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. And it's Friday. Lotto Max, 20 million. Get your tickets.
At Fountain Tire, we're all about one thing, taking care of your vehicle. Oh, and your wallet. I guess that's two things. Save up to 20% off select tires until June 14th. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Back by popular demand, the Operation 36 Junior Golf Program at Cattail Crossing Golf Club. Designed for kids ages 5 through 17. It combines instruction and on-course play, focusing on technique, strategy, and course management. Taught by certified CPGA pros. Only $325 for 4 weeks of instruction, plus 4 9-hole rounds of golf. Operation 36, Wednesdays 5:30 till 7:30 p.m. through August. Register at cattailcrossing.ca. Click on Junior Program or call 780-973-6686.
Canada's best bedroom sale continues at The Brick. Make your bedroom a dream come true with incredible savings, like up to 40% off bedroom furniture and select mattresses, up to $1,500 off sectionals, and up to 25% off dining packages, TV stands, wall units, and electric fireplaces. Plus, buy more, save more. Up to an additional $500 off select brands of major appliances. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot. And Molson Canadians for $5.25. OTR's TVs, hey, they're so clear you'll see the puck better than the ref. That ain't hard, is it? And every game night during Edmonton's playoff run, specials start 30 minutes before puck drop and last for the whole game. Be a part of the legend. See the menu at ontherocks.com.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Cantork's products are not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money, support Canada at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$4.25 on a positive Friday. Jason Gregor, Wanye Gretz, Connor. Wanye Gretz playing a little banged up here today. I got to show cheese.
Tell you what, I am sore, not from tearing.
Oh yeah, typical. Yeah, fatherhood. Hey, your son with a surprise attack jumped off the couch onto the shoulder.
We were roughhousing on the way to school. He's only 4, but he weighs more than he looks like. He just caught me at the right angle. Whew. Playing injured like Leon. Well, not this year, last year.
Maybe. So you're like Nugent Hopkins. Suck it up. For a guy who was banged up, Nugent Hopkins, I thought played quite well last night. Great shot, and then made a great play on the. Well, at the time, the go-ahead goal by Wallman, which turned out to be, still a pretty good goal, of course. But the Oilers, and the Oilers haven't scored a lot of goals on like a relentless forecheck, which they did for both the Nurse and Wallman goals, and that's something I'm going to watch for to see if that continues. Because if they can break down Florida there, that's going to be huge. Like for them mentally, it had to be great to actually score some 5-on-5 goals in Florida, where through the first 16 periods they had a whopping 2. That's it, 2. But then they did get 4 in the final 51 minutes as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. You can cool down right now with $2 sundaes and $2 snack size shakes at McDonald's, or go on the McDonald's app, download it, and you will get the special $1 cone deal, taxes included, only at McDonald's. Obviously, delivery costs you more. As we welcome in former NHL general manager, a scout, Stanley Cup champion, now Ace Annelson scout with TSN, Craig Button, joins us. Butts, how you doing, my man?
I am doing good. Positive Friday the 13th. Can you get any better?
No. Actually, it's so we could get into I read a thing online about how originally Friday the 13th wasn't deemed negative, but then religion got involved and they changed it and made people think that it was a negative thing. It's kind of interesting, but it used to actually be. You know what it used to be about, Craig? I did a little research and it seemed like it's true, but in the original days, Friday the 13th had more about getting a little bit busy with your spouse, if you know what I mean. And they felt that was not necessarily the best approach, so they changed it. And that became now that it's like supposedly one where, bad things happen.
It's amazing how religion messed with people's heads, isn't it?
At times it can, for sure. Messing with heads, Craig, you're watching that first period. The Panthers are all over them. The Oilers are terrible except their goalie. It's funny. They're down 3-0. Their goalie kept it from being 4 or 5-0. And like we've seen multiple times in this series, like in games 1 and 2, the script gets flipped and all of a sudden the Oilers come out, look completely different, tie the game. And then the third period's back and forth. And then we go to overtime for the third time. And man, this series has had everything and things we've never really seen before in NHL history.
Yeah, you're right, and I think you have two teams that are very, very competitive, that are very good. And if anything, Jason, anybody that has watched the playoffs this year, specifically the Edmonton Oilers, know that they may be down, but they are never out. I mean, that's their 8th come from behind victory in the playoffs. They only have 14 of them total. That means like more than half of them, they've come from behind. So like if you're a team and you're playing, if you're the Florida Panthers now, and you think you're going into the dressing room up 3-0 at the first period, you think you're home and cooled out, you haven't been paying attention to the Edmonton Oilers, because the Edmonton Oilers, like I said, are never out. They may be down, but they are never out. Yeah. And they proved it again last night.
And Craig, they did it in a building where up until that second period, they'd had virtually no success 5-on-5. They had 2 goals 5-on-5 in 16 periods dating back to last year and this year in the Stanley Cup final. The Nurse goal was a great forecheck and a pressure forecheck. and winning some board battles by Frederick and Skinner. And then Henry gets it back to Ekholm. And then we saw the Wallman goal. Did you see anything different that led, like, is it just more hard work, or did you see a little bit of a change in approach for the Oilers? Because they did have more success on keeping plays alive and pinning Florida in their own zone on the forecheck last night.
Well, a couple of things I'll say is, like, if you're not going to work hard, you can forget about having success. I don't care what your strategy is. So you're going to dig in and you're going to work hard. You're going to end up finding a way to be in the competitive battles. But the thing that the Edmonton Oilers did coming out in that second period, and Darnell Nurse touched on it post-game. He said, we got skating and we skated forward and we kept playing forward and we kept pressing and we kept playing in their zone. If you're going to back up, you can't put a team under duress. You have to be able to keep skating forward. You think about the first Nurse goal. I mean, there's pressure there. They win the battle. It comes back. They swing it at home. And then Nurse, the face-off. Nurse just takes it forward below the goal line. And now he gets the puck to the front. That fourth goal was an unbelievable play because the Florida Panthers had their line out there, Barkov and Reinhart, had been out there for just about a minute and a half or more, and the Oilers never let up on them, and they got rewarded. If you're going to let up on a team, you're not going to be able to sustain pressure. You're not going to be able to focus. You're not going to be able to force them into mistakes. And once the Oilers got skating, and once the Oilers kept the pressure on, and I said prior to that game, they had to put a really purposeful intent on dumping the puck in and making those defensemen turn and go for pucks. Because the one thing the Florida Panthers do, and everybody knows it, they play forward. And they're coming at you. They're coming at you all the time. And how do you back up a team like that? Put the puck behind them, make them turn and go for it, and then put pressure on them. The Oilers did a fantastic job of that in the second, third period, and even in overtime. Now, there's going to be give and take and back and forth when you're playing a good team, but that's how the Oilers were able to have success.
Craig Button joins us from TSN. Craig, you look at if you're Chris Knobloch, and man, he's pulled a lot of levers that seem to work. He pulled his goalie, despite his goalie not being the problem in the first period. Stuart Skinner was their best player, and they were still down 3-0, which is crazy to say. What would you do? Do you go back to Pickard, or is it obvious, or do you go to Skinner? What do you think he does for Game 5?
Well, I thought it was a no-brainer to go to Skinner in Game 4 based on a number of things. That like the team was poor in front of them in Game 3, so it wasn't like the team played great and Stewart didn't have a good game. His Game 4 numbers are out of this world, and he had played in Florida and had a lot of success playing in Florida, so he knew the arena, he knew the building. So for those three reasons, I thought it was a no-brainer to go. Maybe no-brainer. I just thought it was the right thing to go back with Stuart Skinner. Well, I feel exactly the same now about going back to Calvin Pickard.
Okay.
Calvin Pickard was really, really good. And listen, Stuart Skinner has 7 wins, or has 7 wins. Calvin Pickard has 7 wins. And like, here you are in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you got 2 players here that have been really, really strong for you in the net. So I think there's like what we saw early in the playoffs. Calvin Pickard got his opportunity, jumped in there, helped them have success. You have to do that again last night. I think that going into it wasn't just a case of like get in there, give us a chance to get back into a game. It was get in there and help us win, and he did exactly that.
Craig, the home ice advantage, like each team's won at home, each team's won on the road. I'm not sure, but later on in playoffs, historically, it does seem to matter more. Any idea why?
Yeah, if I had an answer for that, we could bottle it up, Jason, and sell it and make a lot of money. I think that the rinks today are so familiar to the players, how they play and whatnot. Now, that being said, there's not a coach, a manager, or player given the choice of having a deciding game on home ice, or hey, listen, Game 5 is a pivotal game. Do you want that game at home or do you want it on the road? The next person that tells me they want to play that game on the road will be the first. So whether there's some real significant rationale behind it or it's just a mental thing and a comfort thing, like I think that's why you want to have that home ice advantage. It's because it's your home, it's your place. There was a play last night in the game, and I know on the broadcast they talked about Sam Reinhart knowing the arena. The puck bounced off the backboards, and he came right back and picked that puck out before it got to the front of the net. That's just a little thing about knowing your arena, being in your rhythm, and I think that matters, Jason. I think it matters.
Oh, wholeheartedly, I think it does. And obviously there every moment later on in a series gets amplified more. And I would think in the Stanley Cup, like if you make a mistake in game one, yeah, it sucks, but you've got more time to get back, right? The later now you can only lose one more game now, right? You can't lose two, right. You're done, right? So I wonder that's got to play a part of the psyche a little bit for these teams. We have a lot of people wondering about the travel. Now, it used to be every second day. So I know today's era, there's some days where you have 2 days between games. I don't think the travel really matters. But because they've had 2 days between each of the last two games, does the quicker turnaround, does it actually help Florida to get back on the ice sooner? Or do you think it helps Edmonton because they want to get back on? Or does it help neither based on how the series has gone with no momentum swings from even period to period?
Well, why don't we just take some recent history? And when I say recent, very recent history. Monday night, in Game 3, the Oilers get walloped. What did they do on Tuesday?
Yeah.
They practiced, right?
Yeah.
What happened on Wednesday when they had an optional? 97 and 29 said, we better get out on the ice, right? So your top players, right? And then you come back and play, Game 4. Like I don't think I think the Oilers are excited about getting back and playing. I think that the Florida Panthers are excited about getting back and playing. You're 100 games into the season. You know at most you have 3 games left. You are loaded up mentally and physically to just empty the tank, to just get ready to play and do it. So I don't think travel has a big deal in it. I think that the travel will benefit both teams between games 5 and 6. When there's 2 days between the games. I think Game 5, I think you got two teams that are amped. And I think the fact that they had 2 days between Game 2 and 3 and 2 days between Games 3 and 4 will make that just an unbelievable game on Saturday night.
Craig Button joins us. Paul Coffey, they went with 5 defense. I know everybody's like, oh, Nurse plays better with Spector. Well, they didn't really play much together last game. Only 4 minutes, I think it was. And then they went to 5D. They're down 3-0. We saw that earlier in the playoffs with Emberson. So do you think they come back with Spector or do they go back to Klingberg for Game 5?
It feels to me like you come back with Klingberg. And you might have to use Klingberg exactly how you use Spector in Game 4. He might not play very much in the game. You might spot him in for the power play. You might spot him in, in a specific spot, like an offensive zone face-off, to just give somebody a break. But I thought the 5 defensemen were fantastic in the game. The guy I was really, really trying to pay attention to was Ekholm. I wanted to see how Ekholm was going to handle that 5-player rotation, and I thought he did a fantastic job of it and manipulating it the way Paul Coffey did. Now, I'm not so sure with just 1 day off and a little bit of overtime that you might not want the comfort of making sure that you have somebody that might be able to play 8-10 minutes. And I'm not so sure based on what I saw I thought Klingberg had to come out of the lineup, but Chris Knobloch, Paul Coffey clearly didn't feel comfortable putting Spector out on the ice.
Yeah.
That's not where you don't want to be in that spot in game 5.
Right. Yeah. And I wonder if it had to do a little bit with the turnover on the third goal, but also they're down by 3 and they're chasing. So they're putting out their best offensive D-man, right? That's probably a little bit of a part of it. Jeff Skinner.
Yep, I agree. I agree.
Jeff Skinner came in last night, Craig, and I thought him and Trent Frederick on the boards and they were unreal in both of their zones, offensively and defensively last night. Neither got an assist on the Nurse goal, but they played a huge part in the forecheck in the corner that eventually led to Henry getting it back to Ekholm. Kind of, what do you make of Jeff Skinner and really Knobloch? Like, anytime he pulls a lever and puts guys in, like, everybody responds. There's no I in team, and it really seems to be the case for this group this year.
Yeah, well, I think last year too. I think ever since Chris took over, we've seen that, Jason. I think that he has a real feel for his team, a real feel for his players. He has the trust of his players, which is key when you're trying to make different moves. And when you watch how he operates, and he's got a real level-headedness about him. And to me, I watched Skinner go in the lineup last night, and we all know that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and we know he's not fully healthy. He's a game time decision in game 3. Maybe it was similar in game 4. I thought getting Skinner in there, knowing that he knows exactly what's ailing Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but if Ryan's not going to be able to go full bore, then Jeff Skinner probably fits better in that spot, playing alongside McDavid up on that top line, rather than Victor Arvidsson. So I think it's just another example of Chris Knobloch having a really good feel for his team, having a real good feel for understanding, okay, this is the situation we find ourselves in. So I'm not gonna snooker ourselves by putting somebody in that might not be able to play up there. And I agree with you. I think those guys played well. I thought they gave them some really good purposeful play. Jeff Skinner nearly had a goal. I mean, it was a really good play by Bobrovsky at the net. But I think that you're looking for a little more offense, and if Ryan, is got to come out. I believe he left the game twice last night down the dressing room runway. So even just that, and you get Jeff Skinner in there for a shift or two, and he's got the scoring threat. I think that makes sense, and I think that again, Chris Knobloch has a great feel for his players, the trust of his players, and understanding what they may need. It may not always be a situation where you have to rely on it, but just in case, you got to prepare for it. I think Chris does a great job of that.
Lastly, the Oilers realized, and we talked about on our show, that they got to stay out of the muck. We hardly saw any scrums. I think that plays more into Florida's game. But we did see the trend of first period penalties for Edmonton. Chris Knobloch addressed it after the game. He did sit Evander Kane down for, it was about a total of 10 minutes maybe. That's an area the Oilers, they've got to control their sticks better in the first period, Craig. Like, it's a must. You can't give up a power play goal and be down basically in every first period. Sometimes they're giving up 2 power play goals. They have to stop it, I think, if they want to win 2 of the next 3.
Well, Chris will tell you, and you know this too, we've heard it from coaches, it gets you out of your rhythm. You know what, your penalty killers, how do you get into a rhythm handling the puck? You're just getting the puck and hammering it down the ice. You're standing around, and it's hard to establish your game. We hear, we've heard Connor, get into our game or not get into our game. Well, when you're taking penalties, it's hard to get to your game because you're on your heels. So that being said, they took 1 penalty after that. Leon Draisaitl takes the penalty, which I thought was a really good purposeful elbow, by the way.
Oh, it was.
You're gonna elbow anybody, sneaky little elbow on the Forsling, who's been blanketing Leon Draisaitl like the duvet cover he has in his hotel room. So send a little message there like that. We used to see Messier do that, and I thought that was a really nice one. But after the first period, and I'm sure the message was sent. It was sent to Evander Kane, and Evander Kane played on the 4th line. He just pushed him right down the 4th line.
Yeah.
So he might not have played him for a while, but he also said, "You're playing on the 4th line because I can't count on you." That's what that message is. I'm going to play the guys I can count on. And Evander, when he's playing well, he can be such an impactful player. But the last 2 games, he's been anything but. So he found himself on the 4th line and not playing a lot. But discipline, I thought that the discipline of the Oilers after the first period was excellent. I also thought that the problems that the Florida Panthers ran themselves in were a direct result of them lack of having discipline. It allowed the Oilers to get on the power play. So you see how it rubs both ways. And, I think both coaches will be telling their team prior to game 5, hey, listen, let's try to play this at 5-on-5. We don't need to be killing penalties and giving the other team power plays.
Craig, what do you think happens in the final 3?
We know the Cup's in the building on Tuesday in Florida. I'd like to tell you that I think I know what's going to happen or what I believe could happen. After game 3, I had no doubt in my mind that the Oilers were going to come back with a really strong effort. There was no guarantee that they were going to win. And they did exactly that despite a terrible first period. I think we're going to see a hell of a game in game 5. It's going to be close. It's going to be tight. Honestly, in my heart of hearts, I think we're going to see a game 7 here next Friday night.
Oh, God. That would be, it'd be wild, especially if the Oilers win game 7 in Canada, end the drought on home ice on a Friday night. Hell, Buds, I could see you running shirtless in the streets if that happens, eh?
No, you won't see me running shirtless. in '04, I'll never forget. They had the Red Mile in Calgary, and Daryl Sutter's daughter Jess, and everybody was having a good old time. And I remember Daryl telling, he goes, "If I see any pictures of you in the back of a pickup truck waving your shirt up and down, you're going to be in big trouble." So I'm going to take that same advice for me.
Touche. Craig, enjoy the games, man. We'll see you at the rink tomorrow.
We will. Thanks, Jason.
That's Craig Button from TS. And the Red Mile. That was quite the summer. Different time. Right? I remember 06. There was a few shirts off for Horkoff, I think. Few. But not so much in 25. I haven't seen. You know what though? Because you did have it last year. Right? Remember the lady in the crowd? I can't remember her name. Well, but it hasn't worked. You've lost both times. So I get it. This year they're like, nah, and maybe they'll win. Got to change something. For all the superstitious fans, maybe all the ladies have gotten together privately in their group chats and said, no, it's no flashing this year. We want to win.
It's amazing the different era we live in. In 06, shirts off for Horkoff, there was no concern you were going to trend worldwide, right? You're like, this is how it's going to go. If anyone has a camera, they're going to have to take it to Shoppers Drug Mart and get them developed, and they're never going to pick the pictures up. But now that lady, she signed a deal with Playboy. Like she's been she had her 50 minutes of fame. But
like
that's an incredible different time, right? Where all of a sudden you have to keep things under lockdown because you might go worldwide famous in a heartbeat. Look at Taylor Swift being at the game. That's some crazy stuff. If there's people in the crowd doing crazy stuff when there's that much media.
Yeah. Well, Kelsey's, I guess, buddies with Kachuk, right? The from last year or something. They were showing videos of it. So which makes sense. Although maybe she was there to see Jeff Skinner way back in the day. You know, who knows? Who really knows?
Grows the game. Good PR.
No. Yeah. It's never a bad thing for because there's some people that are Swift fans who aren't hockey fans that'll watch just because she's there. That's just how it is. So quick break. We'll come back. We got 5 questions and we got Spec, LT, and more on a busy, positive Friday. Lots of this. I got a lot of these texts. Hey guys, I didn't turn the game off, but I did have a temper tantrum. Oh yeah. Well, that's fair. You're allowed. Hey, in the comfort of your own home, tantrum away. Right? Tantrum away.
When that 3-0 goal went in, that was tantrum worthy.
Oh, hey, or what about the game time goal with 19 seconds left? That was a tough one, I'm sure. Tough pill to swallow for sure. Which one? You know what, though? I'm guessing the 3-0 one bothered Oilers fans more.
Way more.
Because you're like, oh, the game. But if they give up that one, they're like, hey, that's okay. We've come back before. That we tied it. It'll be okay. Like you can convince yourself then because you know you're going overtime. You go down 3-0, you're thinking it's game over. Based on no road team ever in 2 NHL teams had ever come back from a 3-goal deficit in the Stanley Cup final game ever until yesterday.
And then you start looking into who's done this before, and all the photos keep coming back of black and white players. Like it's never a good sign. It'd been a long time since someone came back from that.
Oh yeah, very true. Quick break. Let's get to 5 questions next. Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, Alberta, the all-new Play Alberta app is here. Casino, sports betting, lottery, all in one app, right on your phone. And because it's Play Alberta.
Bouchard. Colm au dégagement, opportunité pour entrer. La passe à Paris et c'est rentré entre les jambes. Et oui, ça va donner la victoire aux Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton Oilers
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Friday, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you. It's time now. It's a Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. Remember, tomorrow, odds boosts, order game day. Get in on it. PlayAlberta.ca. As it's time now for 5 questions. And today at the Brick, when the Oilers deliver, which they did last night, the Brick delivers. Free local delivery on any purchase over $499. Just use the promo code OilersWin at the Brick, and you will get free delivery right now. Oilers Win at the Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, guys. Question number 1. And Coach Knobloch obviously hasn't committed to any lineup changes yet, but I want to ask you, I think Troy Setcher's the big one. Do you see any changes coming with him?
No lineup changes if you're winning, would be my thought. But Stetcher might fall outside that.
Well, I look at it. So, yeah, he had the turnover in the one play. I think him sitting down wasn't as much about his play as the fact that the game was 3-0 and you're putting out your best offensive guys, just like we saw against Ty Emerson. Emerson didn't have turnovers in the LA King series. And he was playing 5 minutes a night because they were trailing in a lot of those games. And so they wanted to play their best 5 offensive defensemen. I think that was exactly the case last night. So I think you will see Stetcher in the game tomorrow.
Question number 2. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much discussion do you think there is between who starts between the pipes, and which way are you leaning?
Good question on how much discussion there'll be. There's really only 2 trains of thought. Skinner played very well for us to start. The team stunk, and he kind of took one for the team. Pickard came in. He played great. Kevin Woodley's outlined it. Calvin Pickard has made the bigger saves. What's funny is goals saved above expected. Skinner's slightly better than Calvin Pickard, right? And so that's, I think, and Kevin outlined it. Calvin Pickard has not allowed one bad goal. He hasn't allowed a goal that isn't considered high danger. So you can't, you look, hey, would you like him to make more of a big save? Sure. But he's not allowing those goals like Arvidsson scored on Bobrovsky, right? That would be a, mid to low high danger chance. So I look at the argument to say, hey, you could go either way. It's kind of hard to question the coach. Last night I was like, well, they'll probably start Pickard. I think they will, but I wouldn't be shocked if they start Skinner. Like, I wouldn't be shocked by it.
Do you think it was fair to remove him at the end of the first?
Well, I don't think it was fair because he was the player playing the best, but I understood why they did it. The coach is like, hey, we need a jump, and sometimes the goalie's gonna take what I really thought last night was what I would call the guilt-induced goalie pull. That everybody knows who was their best player in the first period. And they look around like, God, we just let this guy down. He's the one now sitting on the bench, and we've been playing terrible. And it can be a motivator, and it worked.
It's crazy there's a 7-0 Oilers goalie in the Cup Finals, and you're debating starting him or not.
Yeah, but he's got a save percentage under 900.
But that's wild.
Yeah.
I would start Skinner.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I don't think he was playing poorly when he left, and I think you got to go with your guy.
All right, question number 3 for you guys. Did you see any change in the Panthers' play after the first period, or do you think it was just the Oilers playing their game?
I think it was just stop taking all those penalties at the end of the first period had the biggest impact on the Oilers. I don't think the Panthers necessarily did much differently. I thought they played well the whole game.
Yeah, I look at I thought discipline was better, but I really felt that Edmonton got better on the forecheck. And so they were able to get a little bit. Hey, they still had the one turnover, Wallman, and you had a good save from Pickard for sure. But I thought Edmonton, they just skated better. So it wasn't so much that Florida did much different. I think Edmonton just played better.
Question number 4, knowing what we know about the NBA Finals, what do you think happens in the remainder of the games? And did the Pacers have a chance to shock us all?
I will say no. I think OKC is going to even up this series tonight.
yeah, I don't think the Pacers have what it takes to win. I think OKC is going to win.
All right. Question number 5 today is National Movie Night Day or evening. Also Father's Day weekend. So I want to ask you guys, what is one movie you're most looking forward to watching with your boys?
I would like to say that Wanye Jr. is getting to the age where we can start to enjoy some, we'll call it normal programming and not like Coco Melon and stuff like that. So he's excluded from this question, but one day I would like to watch Super Troopers with him because that to me is one of the funniest movies of all time. That would be a Father's Day classic if it was age appropriate.
It's probably a few years away from age appropriate. I would
more than 4.
I would think so. Yeah, my son's getting closer now. We watched E.T. I thought like that was E.T. was the first movie I ever saw in a theater. I remember as a 10-year-old kid. So I still like so when we watched E.T., yeah, it was, and you know, it's funny. I was watching with him and he kind of got choked up just like I as a 10-year-old. So it was interesting. I look forward to watching Young Guns with him. So Regulators. Oh, I love that movie.
Connor, you're a father. What are you looking forward to watching?
Yeah, probably like the violent ones. I mean, maybe at Christmas Home Alone would be good, but I'm thinking like Goodfellas, The Departed, you know,
Jeez,
the crime movies one day.
I'm not so bad making a 4-year-old watch Super Troopers if you're watching Goodfellas with a newborn.
Yeah, I mean, we got him started early. He just got to listen at this point. But yeah, maybe, you know, what is the age for like a movie like that? 16, 17 maybe?
You can't believe the ratings. What was it like?
Probably
16
18
plus for
No, you can read online now. Like they have sites you can go to. Is this kid appropriate? And you know, and everybody's obviously going to be different. But I've seen what happens is some people, your kid sees a show and you don't really remember what it's about at the time. You remember, oh yeah, I really liked it, and now I was old enough, and then you know, the kid isn't old enough, and then they got nightmares, and now so you got to debate: is it worth it to have them watch it with you for the late night wake up because they're not happy? So that's you always have to remember that.
You can't watch it too little. I watched Alien with my cousins when I was about 5.
Yeah, well,
and I was like, I've gone too far.
It's gonna scar you.
Like I shouldn't have pushed the envelope this far. It really did.
Oh God, yeah.
It's a true story.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was. National Movie Night, eh? We do have a lot of. Hey guys, why do you think Father's Day isn't as popular as Mother's Day? That's a good question.
Because guys don't care.
Well, yeah. Well, I do think, where guys are slowly getting better at, and it's a societal one. It's like the whole happy wife, happy life. Like if there was a saying that I could shoot into the atmosphere, that would be it. A husband's happiness is just as important as his wife's. Otherwise, you're not happy. That's just simple. Now, are there things where, you know, maybe you get less stressed over at times and you can maybe let certain things go better? Possibly. But the minute we accept that a man's happiness is less valuable, it's a terrible message to send to your kids. It's a terrible message to send to anybody, right? We always talk about equality. Well, then everybody should be even as far. And hey, one day you'll be happier, the next day the other one will be happy. But if you're sacrificing everything for the other person's happiness all the time, eventually you're probably not going to be happy. So A, I don't like that one. But B, it's like, you know, most guys, like, what's one of the things that fuels guys? They love guy time, right? Like, it's one of their favorite things. So you get older, it's like, well, I like kid time. So you want to hang out with your kids. So I think when you get to be adults, dad is like, hey, your sons go golf. Let's go golfing if they like golf. Like, that's like dad's greatest thing, right? Sons ask him, hey, dad, you want to go golfing? Yeah. You know, you get to spend a few hours together. It's great. Now, when they're younger, maybe it's, do you want to have a catch? It's the old adage, hey, dad, you want to have a catch? And there is something. Once you do it, I can't describe why it feels good, but it does. My son, now we go for a walk. We always have a tradition. We go every Saturday. We go for a walk with the dog around 9, right after breakfast, go to the dog. But now he brings a baseball or a football. And while the dog's running around the dog park, we play catch. And sometimes it's 20 minutes. Sometimes it's been 45. And as he gets older, I find it's like you can have conversations while you're playing catch that I couldn't have, because it's like it's distracting him and he doesn't even know what he's telling me. And it's great. And so there's no one in there. It's early in the morning. And I can't really accurately describe why I like it, but there's something about playing catch, whether it's your son or your daughter, that brings it's just closeness. It's a weird thing. I don't even know how to describe it, but I feel it every time, and I quite look forward to it. And I've read books on the importance of telling your kids why spending time with them makes you feel good. Because then if you do that, they're more likely to want to do it. Right. So I always tell, hey, son, thanks for spending time with me. Because I get it. You want to play with your friends. I get it. I totally get it. But hey, make a half an hour for dad. It's like a great thing. And so now it's never, he'll be like, Dad, are we going for a walk? Perfect.
And the value of a routine too, and tradition like that, right?
Yeah.
Doing it every week.
Mm-hmm.
Not just once a year on Father's Day.
Oh God, no, I don't. No, he asked me today. He's like, hey, Dad, what do you want for Father's Day? And I honestly couldn't think of one thing.
A tie?
No, God, no. Like I'm not. No, I was. I did make a joke, and I told him, I said, you know what? Because I'm always bugging him. I want him to get a faux hawk. I want him to have shares. So I said, you know what, Becky? You know what I'd like? I'd like you to get a faux hawk. What? So that's from now. I'm like, okay, because eventually I just want to see him rock the faux hawk. Because God, I wish I could do it. So secretly, I want to just live vicariously through his hair, just for the faux hawk. Because that style wasn't in when I was a kid. I think it's an awesome look, the faux hawk.
It always blows me away when they invent a new haircut. Like the high fade that they've got, Gregor. Have you seen the photos where the beard super manicured and they got the high fade? This was a haircut that didn't exist 5 years ago, and they've innovated yet again. Faux hawk was like that too. The first time I saw a faux hawk, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Oh, buddy, I think it's fantastic. Let's get to two guys in the next hour who definitely won't be sporting a faux hawk, but they'll be talking a lot of Oilers, Spec and Low Tide, as we get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Maybe you got a road trip, going camping this weekend. You got to bring your TV, whatever you're bringing to ensure you watch the game. Well, be sure to stop in at Fountain Tire. Tire checks, oil changes, alignment, and brake inspections to ensure you're on the road and not on the side of the road. FountainTire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game 3 of the NBA Finals gets going tonight, 6:30, as the Pacers look to take a 3-1 series lead over the Thunder. Currently leading 2-1 at the U.S. Open right now. Sam Burns jumping up 32 spots today. He's leading the way at 3 under par. J.J. Spawn 2 under. Only one other player under par right now. Victor Hovland is currently 1 under. When it comes to Canadians, Taylor Pendrith and Nick Taylor both looking like they're going to make the cut at 4 over par. Mackenzie Hughes 5 over par, and Corey Connors 6 over par. They'll all be playing over the weekend in the CFL tonight. You got Ottawa taking on Montreal. That one gets going shortly. Tomorrow, Toronto and Calgary. Then you got Saskatchewan in Hamilton. And the Stingers in action out in Niagara, taking on the River Dogs. That one gets going in a couple of minutes here. Tomorrow they'll take on the Honey Badgers at 5:30. And the Riverhawks road trip continues in Kamloops. They kick off the series with the North Paws first pitch set for 7:30. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Alan Mitchell from the Lowdown with Low Tide. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Some jobs are easy, and some jobs are not. When the going gets
and
tough,
your wallet.
The job is
I
tough,
guess that's 2
GS
things.
Construction hires good people to get the job done right. So, if you know it takes teamwork
Gregor.
and the utmost care to work underground, you just might be who we're looking for. Right now, GS Construction is
It's time now. The Gregor Show is
to join our crew. Apply today at gsconstruction.ca. And remember, from the first manhole to the final tie-in, we've got your back. GS Construction. Tough jobs, good people.
Canada's best bedroom sale continues at The Brick. Make your bedroom a dream come true with incredible savings, like up to 40% off bedroom furniture and select mattresses, up to $1,500 off sectionals, and up to 25% off dining packages, TV stands, wall units, and electric fireplaces. Plus, buy more, save more. Up to an additional $500 off select brands of major appliances. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The dog days of summer means baseball. Every weekend, Sports 1440 carries Toronto Blue Jays ball games. Ben Shulman will have the call. Grab a cold one and tune in this weekend to Blue Jays baseball on Sports 1440.
They are late, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
Need a golf cart that works as hard as it plays? The Golf Cart people can help. They offer a wide selection of new and used models, including Club Car. Whether you're after a lifted cart for the cabin or a sleek ride for the course, they'll help you find the right match. Add accessories or explore ready-to-go options available now. Trusted by Albertans since 1997. The Golf Cart People delivers quality and experience. Visit golfcartpeople.com to find your cart and hit the road or the fairway your way.
When they sing Sherwood Buy at Sherwood Honda, just who's doing the buying in that ditty? Hopefully you Sherwood Buy when you want a reliable vehicle, but Sherwood Honda is buying too. All makes, all models. Sherwood Honda welcomes trade-ins, but if you're just selling at the moment, they might buy it. Consignment sure would be an option too. Sherwood Honda buys good vehicles, so Sherwood Honda sells good vehicles. And they put it in a song, so you sure would know they mean it.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
A little extra brass bonanza for you here on Sports 1440. And don't worry, by popular demand, we will get you before the end of the show the Spanish call of the Draisaitl goal. It had people fired up, and why not? Cons, do you have it right now? Because I don't know if Spec has heard it, because it's Positive Friday. Many of you are getting in your vehicle right now. You're still probably flying high. Like, how many of you went into work today and everybody's just like, hey, Bob, everybody's excited. Everybody's friendly around the office. You're having good times. You're standing around the Culligan water machine in the bottle, just, standing around. Boss is like, oh, feel free, guys. Loiter all you want. I'm in a good mood. The order's won. Because that's true. It happens in the playoffs. You get away with murder at work with your lack of production. As long boss comes by, hey, what'd you think of the Oilers power play last night? You got that call, Cons?
I do.
Okay, before we get to Spec, let's play it.
Arriba, cuidado que se viene.
Lo ganaron en tiempo extra. Clásico instantáneo. Leon Draisaitl anotando el gol que marcó la diferencia. Partidazo. Se empató la serie. Tiempo extra y los Edmonton Oilers se llevan la victoria.
Oh, he's fired up, man. Woo, I don't even know what he's saying, but I'm fired up. I love it. It's excellent. Let's get to the Spec Report now, brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists. And all they have to say, get home safe. Everybody have a safe weekend on the roads. Enjoy Game 5, courtesy of GS Construction, as Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us once again. Spec, good afternoon. How you doing?
Guy sounds like Jack Michaels after a few too many at the elbow room.
Oh, buddy, that guy's fired right up, man. And it, you know what? The Oiler fans are fired up. You were in the building, Spec. It was. I guess let's go through the game in pieces. The first period, the skaters were dreadful. I know they're down 3-0, and Skinner made a few huge saves. That could have been 4 or 5. Like, it was a brutal first period.
Yeah, and I think what got people sort of really questioning, like, we're kind of getting used to the fact that when Florida pushes on you, they take, it takes a while to end that push. Like, they'll pin you and they're good, and we've been watching it here. We know why, we know what's going on. But I think what really made you think that the Oilers didn't come to play is those early high sticking penalties that they took. Like Kane's taken another costly minor. They stapled him to the bench as they should have. Even Ekholm takes one, right? They not only was Florida ready to play and playing great, but Edmonton was putting it on a platter for him. Nurse kicks out Barkov's feet. Like, there's no referee in the world that's not calling that. So that was sort of, to me, it wasn't just Florida playing well. It was the Oilers helping them play well. And I'm not sure Skinner wasn't the best Oiler in the first period. And he's the one that has to end up watching the rest of the game. And the formula worked out perfect for the Oilers. So, I guess I'd say to Stu Skinner, that's just part of being a goalie. I don't know. He's not playing. He's not making those saves, right?
Yeah, like he wouldn't have. I actually thought he made, like, that save he made on the chest coming across in like the first minute and a half of the game was, that's a big save, right? Like that was a big save early in the game. And the problem was it's a 5-on-3. You knew that goal was coming, and their penalty kill right now isn't great. And I know the goalie's part of it, but their first periods, that's the one element that they're going to have to clean up here for game 5.
Yeah, and again, it's the penalties you're taking. They're not penalties that are stopping a scoring chance. High sticks in the face, like, I don't really get it. And, maybe this is me being an old man, but I don't remember growing up playing hockey myself at such a lower level, like at a million miles below where these guys are. I get it. But I don't remember everybody sticking each other in the face all the time. Like, can't you play with your stick, relatively speaking, below your waist? Like, I'm not sure I get all these sticks in the face in places where there's just no need for it. Do you?
No, I don't. Hey, the coach doesn't get it. He even said in his press conference afterwards, man, like, took 2 more high sticking penalties. I'm really hating those. Like, he made it pretty clear here, and Knobloch doesn't say much, right? Like, he's normally, pretty protective of his players, which I respect. But, it's an issue when even the head coach, Mr. Calm, is like, I'm hating those. Like, you're not going to get much more blunt from Knobloch than that. But you know what? They mentioned how Corey Perry says, "Hey guys, there was no big yelling and screaming," which I think people need to understand that yelling and screaming it's not like the odd time you might have. I know everybody sees McDavid bleep and dig in, and he said it after game 2, which didn't work because they still lost in game 3. But when you have a guy that comes in and just is calm, hey guys, like, let's think about where we're at here. We're in this down. We got to play better, and you do it calmly, and you're going to get guys' attention. And, and I also think that I called it the guilt-inducing pull from Knobloch. He's like, I'm going to take out my best player because the rest of you guys stink right now. And, it worked, but it worked maybe to motivate the guys. Like, it's kind of unfair that Stu's the one taking the brunt here for us, because some people can be like, see, look, Skinner sucks. And yeah, and that's why. But that's not the case. Evander Kane gets sat down, Spec. But unlike the goalie, he gets back in the game, right? And then it came on in the second period. Nugent Hopkins, it's a great power play goal. Their power play needed that one. But really, to me, I thought the game really turned. Pickard made a good save, but then the Henrique, Frederick, Skinner line, which was really good on the boards all game long, they have an extended forecheck, and it leads to the Darnell Nurse goal, and that really gave them some juice.
Yeah, we talked, I think it was yesterday, about will Knobloch's changes work? And, I guess we'd have to say Stetcher, I guess we'll have to say it didn't work because they only played him 4 minutes. So, okay, mea culpa there. We all thought, oh man, that'll work great. Didn't work so great, or at least in the eyes of Paul Coffey, it didn't work great because he stopped playing Stetcher after that goal pretty much. But I thought Skinner was really good in that game. I thought he brought him a ton of juice. I thought he played I thought he really battled. And that's how he have to be against. There's no perimeter game against Florida. Like, if you're not going in there to battle and to mix it up, and he had that play. He's holding, I forget whose stick it was now. He's basically kind of holding on to a stick that frees up the little bit of room in the zone, and Nurse comes through the other side. I didn't love the goal. If it's on Bobrovsky, I won't lie to you, but it's a nice play by the Oilers to free up Nurse. He wires one top shelf, and here we go. 3-2 game on. So I wanted to say, I thought Skinner's game was, usually we talk about Skinner playing well because the puck goes in for him. And last night was a night when he didn't put any pucks in the net, and I thought he played fantastic. The other guys, Podkolzin, he did put one in, but there's your new hero every night right there. Like, I'm thinking of Skinner and Podkolzin after that game as much as I'm thinking of McDavid. I thought Podkolzin was, every shift made something smart happen. I thought he was really, really good.
The 5-on-5 spec, they had 2 goals in the first 16 periods in Florida, and then they scored 4. None with McDavid on the ice. McDavid's actually only been on the ice for 1 5-on-5 goal in 6 games in Florida. Like, I thought he was pretty quiet last night overall. And to me, that's a good thing for Edmonton. Like, history will tell you that eventually Connor McDavid is going to have a big game. Last night, Leon Draisaitl showed up, and obviously he scored a huge goal. He even said, he goes, hey, there's not much to that goal, but hey, you'll take it. It's a lucky bounce, and it counts, and it's massive, and it puts him in the record books in 2 categories. But I thought it was the Oilers' depth. Nurse was excellent in the second period, goal and assist. Podkolzin, Wallman, Janmark, Kapanen on a nice pass. Nugent Hopkins, I know Draisaitl scored the OT winner, and it's great. But, Pickard coming off the bench, it was really their depth guys last night that got them the win.
I mean, and here we are. Like, we know the Oilers' record in the games 4 through 7. What's it now? 19-2. We've been talking about the depth of Florida and all their third line and all their guys underneath that make them so good, right? And now we're into the back half of the series where traditionally Edmonton starts to figure some stuff out and starts to get more out of more people. And this series, like, I got to say, it's unfolding like all the other series, at least for one night. It was Edmonton's depth guys that really won that game for them. It was Edmonton that went in the road and turned the tide their way in a game 4. It was Edmonton. I mean, their depth went right to the goalie. That's another huge advantage. I wrote Pickard today, and I thought to myself, Vanacek hasn't played a single minute here in the postseason. Like, he's not an option for Maurice. The only way Vanacek gets in is if the Oilers rip 6 past Bob and it's a blowout. In Edmonton, we're wondering who's going to play goal tomorrow night, and we'll talk about that, but there's really not a bad answer. You're happy with, frankly, either guy right now, and that's another area of depth that Edmonton is, Florida doesn't have that depth in goal. They don't want to play Vanacek, and if they do play him, it's going to be because the game doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. No, well, exactly. And so, it's a good problem to have. And hey, the Oilers and the Panthers now, they're both 2 wins away. Some team at Friday, at Saturday night, at whatever time, will be 1 win away from the Stanley Cup final. You're the Edmonton Oilers spec. They got the quick turnaround here, although it's a normal turnaround in most years. But either way, they come back. And, I want to talk about Nugent Hopkins and his play, the 1-on-3 down low behind the net that allowed McDavid to change. Janmark comes on in the offensive zone. And, that led to the Wallman goal. And I know Nugent Hopkins is a little bit banged up. I think he went to the dressing room twice during the game, spec. But what an effort by Nugent Hopkins on the first goal, but really on that Wallman goal. Like, what a hell of a game by him, too.
Yeah, that sequence behind the net where he engaged enough Panthers. I think there was 3 of them over the course of the shift, so Edmonton could get the change, and the change led to the Wallman goal, the go-ahead goal. That he really checked in. I don't know if he's feeling better. He did take the morning skate, so that's a sign that maybe he's feeling a little bit better. He sure did play better, and he wires that first goal home. He's got that Like how would I say? Every once in a while, that wrist shot reminds me of Joe Sakic's wrist shot, and it was in and out of the net so quick last night. That was one of them. Like when he gets it all, he's got a killer good wrist shot. So, who knows? Is he feeling better? Was that a one-off? I don't know. But with this long travel and coming off an overtime game, I want to say this. I thought Tkachuk played his best game, and he's been dinged up. So I wonder how the two will react to having played an overtime period. Now you're flying all the way up here. You're going again tomorrow night. I wouldn't be surprised. Tkachuk's groin, I wouldn't be betting on him to play that well again. And as for Nugent Hopkins, I just don't know. But this will test guys, right? We've played some extra periods. Now it's a one-day turnaround, and you're flying all the way up from the Florida, and I just did it. This will test guys tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very valid point. Mark Spector joins us on Sports 1440. Lastly, Spec, you're now to the nitty gritty, right? Like there's just every game, there's less room for error. Do you see this year being significantly different for the Oilers, or is this still a complete coin flip series in your eyes?
Well, first of all, they have some measure of control that they didn't have last year. So that's a check mark for Edmonton, right? Let's face it. Last year, after game 3, every minute of every game was life and death. This year, not so much. So I like that for Edmonton, sort of psychologically. They could control this thing. I thought they controlled the last 2 periods, the last game. So that's good. They're coming in here on a high note, on a point of strength. I think they figured some stuff out here. That was the longest, I'd say this year, Jay, that 40 minutes was the longest period of Oilers sort of control that we've had in the whole series that I can think of. So this is a good time to be gaining control. Here we go. We're in game 5. So no, I don't think it's the same as last year at all. I think Edmonton feels like, that stat we're talking about, they love the fact that they take control of series in the back half. And they just started it. They've done it for a bunch of series in a row. And they kind of see something here like, hey, we know this feeling. We're familiar with this. We got this going the way we want it going. So I know Florida's going to stand in the way of that. And Florida wouldn't buy this conversation for a second if they were listening. But I'm telling you what, the Oilers feel like, hey, we've been here before in a bunch of series, and we're going to be here again against Florida. I think they feel great about where they're at right now.
Well, Spec, looking forward to it. A lot of people can't wait for game 5, and why not? The way this series has gone, I have no idea what to expect. We've seen records broken, records set, things we haven't seen in, centuries. So who knows what to expect for game 5.
Who are you playing in goal? Who are you playing in goal?
God, that's a really good question. I think I'm starting Pickard, but I don't think it's the last we've seen of Skinner. Does that make sense?
It's interesting. I'm starting Pickard, and I hope it's the last we've seen of Skinner. And that's not a slight at Skinner, but if you see Skinner, that's probably not great news for Pickard. So I'm just going to say this. I'm not talking to you about game 6 or 7 yet. In game 5, I start Pickard after the way he played. The one thing the Oilers have here is, over all of this back and forth, starting in the Vancouver series last year and this year and the playoff, all the time, I don't think the skaters care who plays. There's no. I don't think any of the skaters care who plays. They don't care.
Yeah, I totally biased. Like I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, they play better with Pickard." I'm like, but Skinner has a higher goals saved above expected. And their save percentage when they start games is it's 0.1 difference, right? 892, 891. And ain't much difference between the two of them when they start games in goal. What's different is when Pickard plays, now he's played half the games. He started 6 and a bit. But when he starts, the Oilers average a goal and a quarter more per game. Right now, that's against LA for those starts, so maybe that's it a little bit. But that's the one thing. Their goals against is basically the same, but it's their goals for that has been the difference thus far. And I don't know how much the goalie impacts it. Maybe if he makes a big save, it gives him a boost because he does make more big saves. But he also lets in, Skinner hasn't been beaten on hasn't let in, quote, a weak goal, according to Kevin Woodley, but Pickard makes more of the big saves. So maybe it's a psychological thing that gives him a boost. I don't know how it would help your offensive numbers, but when he's in goal, they do score more.
I feel like Pickard gets bounce back Oilers because Skinner only ever comes out after the team, he/the team lets in 5 or 6. And generally speaking, Skinner gets pulled in games after the team played lousy. They pull the goalie, they put the new guy in, and Pickard gets bounced back. We're playing guilty Oilers where Skinner doesn't. So that to me is the only difference.
Yeah, no, that's valid. Spec, get some rest. We will chat with you tomorrow.
All right, sounds good, Jay.
There you go. That's the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We'll come back. LT will join us on a busy, positive Friday in the Gregor Show, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50. Get a free $50 play at PlayAlberta.ca.
At Fountain Tire, we're all about one thing, taking care of your vehicle. Oh, and your wallet. I guess that's 2 things. Save up to 20% off select tires until June 14th. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Hold on to your hockey helmet, Edmonton. On the Rocks is serving up 60-cent wings that fly off the plate faster than a slap shot. And Molson Canadians for $5.25. OTR's TVs, hey, they're so clear you'll see the puck better than the ref. That ain't hard, is it? And every game night during Edmonton's playoff run, specials start 30 minutes before puck drop and last for the whole game. Be a part of the legend. See the menu at ontherocksyeg.com.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
It's been a long 35 years since we last hoisted the cup. Sports 1440 has the finals covered with Curious, Low Tide, Gregor. And be sure to check out the pre- and post-game shows with Andrew Walker. Sports 1440 is Edmonton's sports leader.
Oodle Noodle origin. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the New World. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
For a rock-solid start on all your spring and summer projects, Bashaw Concrete Products. From concrete to septic tanks, precast water pads to outhouses, plus aggregates, landscaping supplies, and more. Renos, construction. Start planning right now at BashawConcrete.com or call 780-372-3854. That's 780-372-3854. Family owned and operated, proudly serving Albertans since 1963. Bashaw Concrete Products.
Explore Internet just got 10 times faster. 5G Ultra brings incredible speeds to homes in rural and small town Canada. Upgrade today at xplore.ca.
Grove Rotary Rib Fest returns July 11th to 13th in Central Park, Spruce Grove. It's fall off the bone fun with tasty ribs and cold drinks, live music, a family fun zone, local market, and more. Become a VIP at groverotaryribfest.ca.
When you look at a pipe, you just see a pipe. But at GS Construction, we know it's not just a pipe. It's the future water flowing to a growing family's home or the sewer line for a new school. At GS Construction, we know every trench we dig connects people to what matters. And if you'd like to be part of that vision of making a better future, we're hiring. Right now, GS Construction is looking for experienced foremen to join our team. So apply today at gsconstruction.ca. GS Construction, underground with purpose.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Bouchard. École de dégagement, opportunité pour c'est rentré entre les jambes. Et oui, ça va donner la victoire aux Edmonton Oilers.
.531. Jason Gregor, Juan Gretz, Connor Halley. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different here. Cam Tate, right now, Technology 1, Cam Tate nothing. It's outsmarting him. Tater's swearing more than Oiler fans were in the first period last night on our email. Tater, tone it down. If we had a swear jar, it'd be overflowing right now. So he's pretty fired up. So, Cons, I want Low Tide to hear this. So we're going to get to the 2-minute warning brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home with the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer at legacyheating.ca. So I want you to give me some background. So I'm going to read this for Tater because his technology outsmarted him again, right, Tater? Is that what happened? Like, I'll pretend I'm Tater for a second because you know how he likes to incorporate us into his 2-minute warning. So I'll be like, Tater, is that right, Tater? Oh, I'm not sure. So maybe, while you're oiling up your wheels on your wheelchair or oil up your computer, so you can outsmart it for next week, okay? But anyway, here we go with the 2-minute. Now, remember, these are Cam Tate's words. I'm just his voice box for the day, okay? Cons, tell me when you're ready. All right. Barnacle. Ever hear that name, Gregor? Barnacle. You know, Barnacle. I bet Granddad Tate's homestead north of North Battleford in Saskatchewan. Alan Mitchell, the Low Tide guy, he knows who Barnacle is. 1981, Saskatchewan Roughriders. There was a quarterback controversy. Joe Barnes and John Huffnagel. Saskatchewan coach Joe Farragelli came up with a plan. Barnes played the first half, Huffnagel the second. Hence, Barnacle. It was effective, taking the Riders to a 9-7 CFL record. Barnacle, right? I bring that up as we discuss goaltending. Last night, Game 4. Stuart Skinner started the game, gave up 3 first-period goals. But here's the thing. He could have easily let in 3 more. He played great. As Ismeen said, it could have been 6-0 after the first. And Pickard made some highlight reels when he came in. 2 great performances, 2 different goalies. 2 men are good friends and support one another. And Pickard is a wonderful teammate we hear in the room. The question, the $64,000 question, who will be in the starter's crease Saturday? For my money, I'm not sure. I need more time to think about it. But I know one thing. Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard checked their egos at the door a long time ago. That atmosphere, that culture, that manifests itself at this time of year. We all know Coach Chris Knobloch isn't afraid of getting the blender out of Grandma Anderson's kitchen cupboard. Rotation, Skinner and Pickard every period? Maybe. Maybe not. Every game? Probably not now. Still, I think it speaks to how Skinner supports Pickard and how Pickard supports Skinner. So I've made up my mind on who will be in the Oilers' net Saturday night. Not starting, you understand, but in the net. Listen very carefully. Skin card. I'll say it again. Skin card. It's a 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, Gregor Show, Sports 1440. Skin card. Barnacle. Low Tide. Had you heard of Barnacle?
Yes, that was awesome. That was so well read and well written. That was outstanding. And it's funny because I do think that I thought Skinner played fine. The Oilers did not play fine in front of him. But sometimes a coach wants, it's not even about the goalie. You just want, you want to say, hey, listen, team, we got to play better. And we've seen it work a lot. It definitely worked last night. I mean, I think that was an historic victory. We'll look back on that, should the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, as being a major moment in the series. But it's not, it isn't on Stuart Skinner. Skinner played the first period. He played certainly well enough to play the second. But the idea of changing it out had more to do, I think, with the roster, the players, and Cam Tate's words are, I think, very wise. And this is a good time to think about that and ponder it, because this isn't about ego. This is about winning the Stanley Cup. And, I think they'll go to Pickard. I don't know, but I wouldn't, I don't think it's an issue, because I think both goaltenders have the confidence of the players, and it was a wake-up call, and it woke them up. So I'll give Chris Knobloch all the credit in the world for making that call.
Yeah, well, it turned out to be the right one, and I think I like to call it the guilt-induced call, because he's like, hey, guys, I'm going to bench our best player here because you guys have been playing terrible. So make it worth my while and, help your teammate by playing better. And they did play way better in the second period. Now, they weren't perfect. There was the Wallman giveaway, and Pickard made the save there. Obviously, his best save came on Sam Bennett in overtime. That was an unbelievable save. Like that one's going to go in there. There was the Rollison on Chichu save, I think it was. There's obviously the Cujo on Nieuwendyk save. Grant Fuhr had multiple saves in game 1 against the Islanders, and there's obviously some other ones. Bill Ranford in was it game 7 against the Jets or game 5? One of the two.
I think it was game 5, but you know what? It could be. It's one of the two.
Yeah. And so and that save on Bennett is going to be remembered, especially if the Oilers can come back and win the series.
Yeah, I agree totally. It was one of those where and on the replay, it wasn't like it glanced off his glove. He got most of it. He changed the trajectory. Yes. So I give him full credit for for making that stop, because it was going. It was labeled, and he changed it enough. And you got to be good, lucky to be good, and he was very good on that play. I thought he played brilliantly. I'll give him all the credit in the world. And I was just astounded at the quick turnaround. With respect to Darnell Nurse, he didn't have a good first period. He was brilliant. That goal he scored, all world. And the pass out for the Podkolzin goal, all world. He played so well, and he was not the only one. There were a lot of guilty people in that first period of hockey. Oh my God! But they rallied, and even with that, they were more disciplined. But God love Leon. That elbow was amazing, and he got a penalty for it in the second. That was a classic game and a classic series. I was just blown away by how well they came back. That really is one I'll remember forever.
LT, when they were down 3-0, where was your head at? What were you thinking?
Well, I always look at like the penalties. I knew, I knew the Panthers were going to get some penalties in the second, because the Oilers got, 3 in the first, Florida got none. But I didn't know they'd come back. So I was like, I'm not going to watch the Rockford Files yet, but I'm going to, tape the game. And if I turn the channel, it's because I can't take it anymore. But as it turned out, it was a whale of a second period right from the start.
When, you talk about Darnell Nurse, and that was a great goal, but honestly, Al, Skinner and Frederick, that might have been Frederick's best game of the playoffs. I thought he was unreal. Oh, yeah. And Jeff Skinner on the boards was those two guys. I know they didn't get an assist on Darnell Nurse's goal, but they were exceptional. Like that goal, and we'll get to the Wallman goal in a sec. But that play, and Nurse makes a great shot. I know some people didn't like it. We had Kevin Woodley. He's like, honestly, even if Bobrovsky squares up, he thinks he beats him high. He just thinks it's a really good shot. Yeah. But perfect. That line I thought was the Oilers' best line, 5-on-5 all game.
Oh yeah, and I was delighted because I'm a Frederick fan, and he has it's been high ankle sprain, been tough coming back, but I thought he was great. I thought that whole line was really good, and Skinner did add. My hope is that we see that line in Game 5, because Henrique has been he's a veteran guy, he's been playing hard, but he was much more effective with those two guys working really hard. And Frederick found, on his off wing, he found something that he could do and be a part of and be effective with. He's had some chances in this. I thought he was going to score, honest to God. I thought he was going to score, but I was so pleased to see him playing well. And on a line that was pushing a little bit, their expected goal share was about 80%. They were playing well.
Al Mitchell, a.k.a. Low Tide. The Nugent Hopkins 1-on-3 behind the net that led to McDavid changing, Janmark coming on. That was the Wallman goal. And, that we hadn't really seen that in this series, Al, where the Oilers were able to, create chances off of kind of a relentless forecheck.
Yeah. And they the whole, at the beginning, if you go back and watch the first period of Game 1, the Oilers are making those lovely outlet passes, and then they get into the zone, and they're doing some things, and it feels like that you're 200 miles from the Oiler net, and things are going good. And very shortly after, the suffocating Florida forecheck kind of changed everything. The Oilers weren't spending much time in the offensive zone, and they were having all kinds of trouble getting the puck out of their own zone. And really, I mean, from middle of game one, I think until second period of game four, the Oilers were a little bit discombobulated. They weren't necessarily playing their game, and the game turned when I think they just played desperate. People say they worked harder. I don't think they worked harder. I just think they worked smarter. And part of that was that they battled for everything. They didn't just give up the zone. And when even if you don't score, if you're in a scrum along the wall, 200 feet from the Oilers net, your line is doing a hell of a job. That shift is a success, and we saw a lot of that last night.
Yeah, well, Marty McSorley was on the show yesterday talking about that he said, hey, you know what? If you can be a momentum builder if you can play in the offensive zone, and maybe there's a whistle, and now Draisaitl McDavid's line comes out and they start in the offensive zone. And really that's actually what led to the Podkolzin goal, right? An offensive zone faceoff.
Yeah. And they have so much talent, and I think they just kind of forgot for a minute there, because Florida is they are kind of an overwhelming team. And there was a lot, this team is tough. Florida's tough. They take so many liberties, and not every play gets called. And I think that the Oilers a little bit got caught up in that. But when they started playing their game, and they play a heavy game, they can win battles. It made it very difficult. I love the way the Wallman goal was gorgeous. It just was such a big damn goal. And I think that if you look at the roster, if you look at everybody who played last night, everybody played guilty after the first period, no doubt about it. But there were some splendid moments, some really good moments from just about everybody on that roster. That was a team effort and a team win, and I can't imagine how focused they'll be for Game 5. I'm sure they feel like destiny is on their side after coming back from 3 Cobb and winning that game in overtime.
Is that the most shocking playoff game you can recall watching, LT, coming back from 3-0?
Yeah, I honestly, I think so. I remember the 1-0 game in Game 1 of the 84 final, and it was shocking in that I kept waiting for the dam to break. I kept waiting for the Islanders to score 3. I mean, the Oilers played well, and Fuhrer was brilliant in that game, but you were sort of waiting for it. So it was sort of like a slow, it was like the opposite of what we saw. It was like a slow leading out of the Islanders in that game, and it was a pivotal game in the series. But this one was like it was the opposite of that. If you had said to me, "Oilers will win this game," I'd be like, "What the hell are you drinking?" Because it seemed like nothing they did worked. They looked, they looked like they had sort of, that feeling you can when you're watching a series. And a team is going to lose it, and they know they're going to. And there's a realization in their play. They're no longer busting ass everywhere, and it felt like we were almost on the verge of that with the Oilers. They just nothing rhymed, and they were frustrated, and they just were. I remember watching when they scored the goal, and Nurse was in the penalty box, and he said, I'm not going to say what he said, but I think he said a bad word. And you're like, okay, this is starting to build now. This team is starting to really bleed out a little bit here. So for them to come back and this isn't a story. They were down 3-0 after 1 to not just a team that got lucky, a hell of a hockey club with a brilliant goaltender, and they won the damn thing. Like, it's a big deal. I really do think it's a game we'll remember forever because of the nature of it, how important it was. I mean, good Lord, you have to win Game 4. Everybody knows it, and you go down 3-0, and then you turn it around. Honestly, they are so damn talented, and they proved it last night.
Al, one last one. I know that you're a big guy on analytics, and they always say, hey, regression to the mean, eventually it's going to even out. But in short sample sizes, that doesn't always work at all, right? That's why lots of cup-winning teams have a PDO. For people who are big believers in PDO, they never mention that the cup-winning team always has a really high PDO, which I kind of chuckle at. But what do you make of Connor McDavid's play in the series?
I think he's been unlucky a little bit. He had that brilliant goal or brilliant chance against Bob. Bob was good against him. Barkov has been a really effective player against him. I think here's the problem with regression. It doesn't run on time. It's not like the bus route or the train route. And so I think McDavid is, based on his expected goals, based on his shots on goal, based on his chances, I think he should have probably 2 goals and another couple of points at 5-on-5 in this series. He doesn't have it. And he may not, like, regression doesn't say, okay, it's game 5, it's time. But I think he's going to break out. I really sincerely do. I've liked his game. I don't think he's been at top of his game, but there's enough there that he should have been rewarded more. And I think he will be here in game 5, 6, or 7.
All right. Al, enjoy the weekend. We'll chat with you on Monday.
All right, boys, be good. And don't stay out too late Saturday, okay?
Yeah, well, see what happens, Al. See what happens. No guarantees.
All right. Bye-bye.
It's Al Mitchell, a.k.a. Low Tide. We'll come back with Wanya's World and Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with a tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
Canada's best bedroom sale continues at The Brick. Make your bedroom a dream come true with incredible savings, like up to 40% off bedroom furniture and select mattresses, up to $1,500 off sectionals, and up to 25% off dining packages, TV stands, wall units, and electric fireplaces. Plus, buy more, save more. Up to an additional $500 off select brands of major appliances. Some exclusions apply. See thebrick.com for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Reports suggest that Canadian taste buds are bored to tears.
My mouth can't handle another dull drink.
Summertime smoothie experts everywhere are recommending a watermelon wake-up from Booster Juice.
It's so smooth, cool, and refreshing.
And ridiculously delicious. Enjoy the Watermelon Wave and Watermelon Explosion smoothies, available all summer long at a Booster Juice near you. Stay cool, Canada.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. Get your power play amped up with eWell, supplying the City of Champions and Alberta with quality electrical gear since 1975. eWell.ca is your partner in power.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5.50. Welcome back, Jason Gregor. Connor Halley, Wanya, congrats with you. Declan Cougar running things at OILERS Nation, Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Be sure to watch the show. Give Connor a thumbs up on a positive Friday before you make your way home and out of town for the weekend. We get to Wanye's World, brought to you by Action Electrical. Take actions on your saving. ActionElectrical.net.
Gregor, this is as serious as it could possibly get. This is as serious as it can be. We've got 3 games left, 2 to win the cup. If you're standing in the middle of the dressing room and you're giving a speech, what do the Oilers need to do differently from the first games of the series? What do they need to stay strong doing to win the cup?
Well, I don't know if now's the time for big speeches unless you're being a guy who's done it all year long, right? I think you don't want to all of a sudden teams never want the guy who hasn't talked all year to suddenly start talking, because that almost shows it's like, well, now you're nervous, right? But so let's say it's Corey Perry who spoke up, and he doesn't speak up very often, but he did last night. I think it would just be, I wouldn't say anything before the game. It would just be like, guys, let's have a good first period, sticks down. I would start there because you can't worry about the whole game, right? You got first intermission, talk about something else. To me, the whole focus for the Oilers is let's have a good start. Let's keep our emotions in check. We know the crowd's going to be crazy. The crowd's going to be behind us. We're going to be fired up, but we can't be in the box for basically the entire first period, because that's what's happened. 13 penalties. The Oilers have been shorthanded 13 times in the first period alone. They were shorthanded 5 times the whole series in game 1 against Dallas. So that would be my big one. They have to be able to control their sticks in the first period.
Is there anybody that you'd need to see more from? I mean, I don't think the criticism of Connor McDavid is valid.
No, I don't know if it's criticism. To me, I've always said great teams have to win the cup. And so Connor McDavid, hey, you're going against Barkov, you're going against Reinhart. Now, maybe not as much at home, right? So, you know what? We saw it in games 1 and 2. He actually played more against Nikola and Jones. And Mikkola struggled last night. Like, I think Mikkola, a little bit of dose of reality is setting in here for this guy. He was playing out of his mind. So I don't think McDavid has played poorly. I don't like his shot selection. He keeps shooting on the ice. That's my one thing. I'd be like, you know what? Have somebody put a video of, oh, here's all the Oilers goals. Don't even say anything. Connor, Darnell Nurse high, right? Everybody high. Everybody high. Don't have to say anything. I think Connor McDavid would figure it out. I'd like him to see him raise the puck. That'd be my only, and that's, it's like a soft criticism.
That Nurse goal, I thought LT hit on it earlier, but he'd taken a lot of criticism earlier in the game. That was an all-world goal. Oh,
yeah, and rightfully so. He didn't, well, who played well other than Stu Skinner in the first period? That's what I like to ask people. Like, I don't want to pick apart one individual. Nurse didn't have a good first period, but I go down the list of guys who didn't have a good first period. And they need more guys to be ready to play. And if they, like I've said all along, I believe that when Edmonton moves their feet and plays to their strength, they're a quicker team than Florida. The stats online show it. To me, the eye test showed it. In the games where the Oilers control the play, they're moving quick, they're moving efficiently. So you have a good start at home. You know the crowd is just going to be bursting, like waiting to cheer. You don't have to tell them. That's a great part about Oiler fans in the playoffs. You don't have to tell them when to cheer. They know what to do, right? It'll be like, hey, guy on the big screen, get out of the way. Don't try to be like, go Oilers, go. You never see it in the playoffs. Not once. I never see anything like that. And that's what's good about it. So.
What do you think is going to happen in game 5, and who's your hero?
I got to think the Oilers are going to win. And it's now, like, I picked Edmonton in 5, but now I think I'm picking Edmonton in 7. I think it's going to be a homer series the rest of the way.
And who's your game 5 hero?
You know what? Somebody on the Henrik Skinner Frederick line. I think that line had a really good game. I think they'll continue it.
All right.
I'll say Trent Frederick is due for a big goal.
So let's go.
There you go. Have a great weekend, everyone. Please do not drink and drive. Get home safe. Be smart. Have loads of fun on Saturday. Whatever you do, high five, hug, kiss your fellow fan. Just don't punch him, okay? Have a great weekend. Here's the Con Man Sports 1440 update brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 at PlayAlberta.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game 4 NBA Finals gets going in about 35 minutes out in Indianapolis as the Pacers can take a 3-1 series lead, currently leading 2-1. After 2 rounds at the U.S. Open right now, Sam Burns atop the leaderboard at 3 under par. JJ Spawn 2 under, and Victor Hovland currently 1 under par. As for Canadians, they'll all be playing over the weekend. Taylor Pancho 3 over, Nick Taylor 4 over, Mackenzie Hughes 5 over, and Corey Connors 6 over. CFL action tonight, 3-0. Montreal leading Ottawa with 5 minutes left in the first quarter. And in the CEBL, in the second, Edmonton up on Niagara 47-33. The Stingers in action tomorrow taking on Brampton at 5:30. Riverhawks in action tonight as well, taking on Kamloops, kicking off the series with the North Paws. That gets going at 7:30. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio all night. We've got local coverage tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for the Saturday Sports Setup, followed by the basketball show at 10 a.m. and then pregame coverage with Andrew Walker and Donovan Paulson at 4.